It's OFC playoff time, and it's going to be a doozy, the classic 1 versus 4 matchup. It's the AKO Fratmen hosting the 4 seed, the Ottawa Sooners. Good evening to each and every one of you. This is Aaron Sanders down field side once again at Alumni Field, and this is the OFC semifinal matchup that everybody will be paying attention to. Let's quickly go to what's on the docket today. The Ottawa Sooners, they come in, they have a 3-5 record, but according to the coach, Paul Deek, that doesn't matter anymore. It's the second season. They have a lot of respect for the AKO Fratmen, but what's more important is they have more respect for the team, and if they could pull off a good, captivating upset here tonight, then that could really spur on to a lot of potential when it comes to fighting for the OFC championship. The Windsor AKO Fratmen, what more can you say about it? 7-1 record, the cream of the crop of the OFC, and it looks to be with no end in sight. Mike LaChance's crew is feeling very lucky about themselves. They're feeling very confident because ever since they went on to week 2, it's been victory after victory after victory, and their average margin has been around 20 to 25 points. But if you could see the game film in the last few weeks, you could tell it's all thanks to their leading shotgun leader, Mr. Brandon Riem, the all-time season leader in passing yards, averaging around a total of 1,800 yards, collecting a total of 1,800 yards, breaking a record that was once held by his high school coach, Dan Gray. So a lot of potential going on for this team and a lot of expectations going on for the other team. So it's either upset or the obvious victory. So next week, it'll either be the Ottawa Sooners or the AKO Fratmen playing against the winner of the London-Hamilton game that is going on right now, and we'll keep you up to details about the game as this evening rolls on. So sit back and relax. You are in for a great night. It's the Sooners and the AKO Fratmen coming up right here as Buddy Kawaz does play-by-play on WeTV.ca. We'll be back.
We know you're going to the same gym, and we know you're expecting different results.
This is your invitation to visit Club Attitude, Windsor's best-kept training secret. Individual, custom-designed fitness, specifically tailored for you. Clean, modern, well-equipped studio. Body, mind, and soul. Come on, make that change. It won't be scary.
There's so much crap over there. It's so hard to try to control those guys, man. Welcome to Windsor, Ontario. And WeTV here to proudly present Ontario Football Conference playoff action between the home Windsor AKO Fratmen and the Ottawa Sooners here at Alumni Field in Windsor. And the opening kickoff. Ball is kicked deep, and the Sooner return man picks it up at around the 10-yard line, works right up the middle of the field, works up the right hash, and that looks like he's going to be tackled at around the 27-yard line. And from my perspective, that looked like that was number 3, Marcus Severe, who returned that. And it's my understanding he was just nominated for he was the recipient of the Return Specialist of the Year. So my guess is that might have been a mistake off the hop. That said, here we are. We-TV.ca is bringing you Ontario Football Conference semifinal play. And you see the visiting Sooners in their orange, their darks today. And they are going to be coming with a 3-5 record. The quarterback, he's going to bring 3 receivers to his left in the shotgun. Quick roll to his left. He's trying to throw over the top to the corner, and that's intercepted right away. And that looks like that's number 8, Spencer Trenier, who picks off the ball, works his way up the right hash, all the way to the right sideline to the 35-yard line in the plus zone if you are a Fratmen fan. And right away, the pass is picked off on the first play from scrimmage as Spencer Trenier continues his exceptional play this year. He has just been a ball hawk all year long, and that adds to the and we do have a penalty on the field, so we're going to see what this is. It does look like it was post-possession, so we are going to back it up. That is number 4, Mr. John McDonald, who's going to wear the white hat and serve as our referee today. So rather than scrimmaging from the 35-yard line, the ball's going to come back right to the midfield stripe. So we do have likely a block in the back. I'm pretty sure that's the indication I saw, but it was post-turnover. It was a rough play, I'm being told, and that is indeed going to bring them back to the midfield stripe. The Fratmen, who are captained by Brandon Riem, and there is a story to be told there. takes a shotgun snap, turns, and he looks to hand that ball off, and that is his running back, the all-star running back. That is number 6, D'Angelo Knox, who went away from his initial first read to the left and countered back on his own, made a speed cut, turned it right up the right hash, and he carries that ball from the midfield stripe all the way down to about the 14-yard line. Looks like they're going to officially mark it at the 15-yard line. Here you see on the replay, there was some penetration from the defense of the Sooners, but D'Angelo, who is talented, led the conference in rushing, found his way all the way back to the right hash and got right down to the 15-yard line, negating that rough play penalty, and now really sets up the Fratmen with some great field position at the 15-yard line. Again, Brandon Riem, D'Angelo Knox, it looks like Jacoby Jones is his fullback right now. He's calling for the shotgun snap. Calls it out, looks like it's a straight QB ISO run, and he's going to work his way right up the middle of the field, crosses the 5-yard line before he's tackled at about the 2.5-yard line. So you're going to get a first and goal situation now for the Fratmen as they look to put an early score on the board. Now you see in our screen, Brandon Riem, number 1, the leading passer efficiency, if I'm not mistaken, in the Canadian Junior Football League. Just keep that in mind as the broadcast goes, because we're going to have some stories to tell about that. And here we go. D'Angelo Knox deep behind Riem. Snap comes, hand the ball off to D'Angelo on an inside zone running play, and it's just bottled up there. Good stand by the defensive line for the Sooners as D'Angelo was unable to get any yardage, and that's just a stalemate at the line of scrimmage. It's going to bring up a second down and goal. Fratmen make a couple substitutions. Looks like they went with a little bit of a heavier set as they brought in some extra linemen. So my guess is you're going to see a full double tight set as you see 67 and 99 in the screen. You're going to have 2 tight ends lined up. And as he breaks the huddle, you do see the extra linemen now are working their way, and there you go, the double tight set. Again, in the backfield, it's D'Angelo Knox and Jacoby Jones. Tight end walks off. We get some motion. And that's Slickboard, the defensive player of the year, who looks like he was lining up to lead block on an inside zone ISO play. D'Angelo Knox gets bottled up, and that's going to bring up a third down and goal situation. The win earlier today here at Alumni Field as the Lancers played their season finale and they pulled off a win. There was a strong wind moving towards that very end zone that the Fratmen are working to now, but that wind has tapered off, and today I don't think this evening the wind's going to be too much of a factor, but if there is any, right now the Fratmen do have it in their favor as we have an injured Ottawa Sooner down, and the training staff are going to deal with that. Now you see the sideline shot there of the Ottawa Sooners. I got my game roster officially from the league, and in terms of area of coaching responsibility, there is no head coach listed. It is my understanding that the head coach resigned just before the season finale, and as such, they are going to be splitting the duties, the responsibilities. So it's going to be coaching by committee, and the offensive coordinator is Christian Nally, and the defensive coordinator is Paul Deek. So it's going to be probably a combination of those two deciding when they're going to be punting, if they're going to go for it, or if there's any kind of critical situations, or who's going to conference with the referee. My guess is one of them were assigned that responsibility if it should come to that. And as you see, Brandon Riem is coming back out on the field. I don't see any signs of the kicker coming out right now. So that's going to bring up a third down and goal situation, and the ball hasn't moved an inch in 2 plays, and the offense comes out in a 3-by-2, 3 to the quarterback's left as they spread out, and they run a jet sweep action, and they get that jet sweep off the left end, but there's some penetration there, and it looks like the Sooners are going to stop them. And that jet sweep was jammed up right in the backfield right away, as that was number 14, Marcus Williams Cooper. Holding Ames product, who has some speed, but initially had to belly back behind because an outside linebacker forced the play. And once you have to get off your track, as you see on the replay, once you see any kind of rerouting at all, that's when the troops rally. And that was a very good job by the Sooner defense as they held the Fratmen out of the end zone. And now you're going to have the Ottawa Sooners who are going to be coming up for their second offensive position, and they're going to be at around the 5-yard line. And there you see number 21, Tyler Scott, the quarterback, a bigger body, probably not too much of a threat to run. And the running back just rolled his way through, and he picked up about 2 yards. And that looks like it's number 26 for the visitors, and that's Vincent McDonald. Now, he's listed on my depth chart as a defensive back, but that's clearly could be dual responsibility. He is in their backfield right now, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and 9. If they don't get a yard here, my guess is they'll probably give up the safety, which is probably why it was a calculated gamble by the Fratmen to just not go for the field goal. We get some early movement. We got a flag. Now, did they actually break the line or make contact with somebody? Either way, it's still going to be 2nd down. It does look like the play is going to move up 5 yards as the Fratmen might have encroached into the offensive zone. And there's Mr. McDonald who's indicating.
Offside on the defense, 5 yards, replay, 2nd down.
And that is loud and clear for our audience. And you see Alex Jemmy, who is our umpire, and he walked that thing up, and now the ball is going to be at the 12-yard line, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and 4. A little bit of room here. It makes the playbook wide open once again, so now you have to concentrate on whether it's going to be run and or pass or even a play action. As the Sooners come out with 3 receivers to Scott's left. He looks left right away, tries to throw right into that B seam, and he's met right away, and that was number 19 for the Fratmen, Dante Fornasario, who broke up that intended pass, and you'll see it here on the replay. It's just a little bit of a curl route, and the intended receiver gets hit, jarred loose, and even if that ball was on him, that was a very well-timed hit, a legal hit. A nice thing you want to see is how when the DB led with his shoulder into the body of the receiver, and player safety on all levels is a major concern, and that's one where in the old days you might have seen a helmet-to-helmet light up. That's not the case anymore. That was a well-executed hit, a physical hit. The all-conference punter lines up and he bombs one, and this is going to be fielded at pretty much the midfield stripe. And that looks like it's Marcus Cooper Williams once again, and he looks like he's trying to run sideways. He does get up that right sideline. He picked up about, I want to say, 7 or 8 yards, but he ran about 55 as he caught that ball on the left hash just on his own side. But the Fratmen do indeed start with some decent field position. I guess that's why they punted, because they do indeed have the all-star punter on this team. That's number 34, Cole Cressett, and he did get a good one. And like I said, there's not too much wind to discuss right now. But the Fratmen do have the ball at the positive side of the field at the 47-yard line going in. And again, there's Brandon Riem with Jacoby Jones to his left and D'Angelo Knox in the deep tailback. D'Angelo leaves early, gets moving down the field. Brandon Riem patiently stays in the pocket, scrambles to his left, and decides, you know what, I'm going to pick up as many yards as I possibly can. And that's exactly what he does. He gets one block, and that's going to get the ball out around the 38, 37-yard line. It's going to be close to a first down. And as you'll see here, eyes down the field, doesn't like what he sees, checks back to the middle, patiently yet calmly, looks to his left, realizes, you know what, I do not want to throw an interception early here. Let's use my legs. And he is such a tremendous athlete that that's what you get as we get into the halfway point of the opening quarter. You're going to have a 2nd down and about 3 yards here as the ball is marked at the 40-yard line going in. Brandon bobbles a snap, scrambles out to his right, trying to use his speed to get around that right corner, and he does indeed underhand the ball from behind the line of scrimmage. He does his best Brett Favre impersonation, and he passes that ball underhand to Omar Hayes Williams. Bad snap, it dribbled back to the quarterback, so the quarterback's now improvising. He realizes that he might be getting tripped up, so he just underhands it to maybe one of the most sure-handed receivers in the league, and that's Omar Hayes Williams. And wasn't pretty, but it counts as a completion, and that completion resulted in a first down as the ball is now being scrimmaged from the 34-yard line going in. The Fratmen bring 3 receivers to their right. Shotgun snap, inside handoff, looks like a quick little trap play to Jacoby Jones, and he gets bottled up right away. There was some inside push, but it looked like the trap didn't come quick enough as Jacoby Jones was only able to pick up about a yard, and then he was tackled by a couple interior defensive players for the Sooners, as the Sooners have several all-stars, them being a 4th place team and sitting at 5-3. To my count, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all-stars, and they had 2 individual players who received extra honors in that they had a return specialist of the year, and number 7 we'll talk about, that's Malcolm Carter is the offensive player of the year. Again, Brandon Riem looking quick hitch out to the right, and that's the all-star for the Fratmen themselves. That's Devin Woods, who catches the quick little hitch, and it looks like he got it about to the 30-yard line. We do have a flag on the field, so we're going to see what exactly that is. And we see here on the replay, Brandon gets a snap. It was a little high. That's going to be a concern because you want the timing of that to be just a little bit better. And it was a behind the line of scrimmage pass, so we're going to get the call here.
At the end of the
We got an
play.
offsides on the defense, and that's going to give them a first down. And the Fratmen now are going to be settled in at about the 20-yard line. Now, I'm not sure if there was, oh, my apologies, it was an objectionable conduct. So that's going to give them the automatic first down, plus the full 10-yard walk-off from the end of the play, which is why now we have the ball scrimmaged at around the 19-yard line. And the Fratmen are in the red zone for the second time. Let's see if they come with some points here. They pretty much empty the backfield. Brandon looks to his right, steps up, slides to his right, throws, sees his target on the right sideline, but that was that sort of safe throw. But we do have a flag on the field, and now we're going to get the call here. Now, I think this is like the fourth flag already, and we're just going to work through this. Now, it did look like from my angle in that corner, I saw a Fratman jersey being pulled a little bit. All right, so there was no foul on the play, and that means it's a picked up flag, and that's going to bring up second down and 10 from the 19-yard line.
Y'all set, Al?
So far, the Fratmen have had some good plays on offense. They had a long run. They completed a couple short passes. They were the benefactors of an objectionable conduct a few minutes ago, but they still have no points, and they've been in this end now for about 6 full minutes, as the Sooners have only had the ball for maybe a couple minutes. The backfield now empties, and we get another flag. That must mean some early movement. Now, it did look like the running back, from my angle, the running back may have been a full yard across the line of scrimmage before the snap. So we'll wait to see what that call is.
Offside on the offense. 5 yards. 2nd and 15.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% positive if that was the player who was penalized, but it did look like that was D'Angelo Knox as he was working up the left trying to get his timing. Most times any movement towards the line of scrimmage, you're given about a yard grace, but if you're clearly past that 1 yard grace as a motioning receiver, they're going to have to call that because that's too much of an advantage gained as you're breaching the line of scrimmage. But here we go, second down and 15. Ream takes a snap, looks left right away, has an isolation right, looking over the top of that. Now that's just a jump ball, and the ball was jumped and caught by the all-star, number 12, Devin Woods. This young man is tall, athletic, rangy, and that's why you get possibly one of the best receivers in the league, and you just give him a chance just to go out-jump somebody. And that's indeed what happens. Great concentration there. Both guys tried to high point it. At this point, you saw you did see Devin Woods get the ball, and then after the little bit of a bobble, or it could have been even tipped, he comes down with it. Brandon Ream has made great strides in his only real year of playing and realizing his mismatches. And whenever he sees him or Omar on the outside, and there's a lot of room for that safety to get there, he oftentimes just gets it as the Fratmen get that extra point there. And that's going to bring the score to 7-0 as the Fratmen strike first and take an early 7-0 lead with 5 minutes and 37 seconds left in the opening quarter here on we-tv.ca, an Ontario Football Conference semi-final play. Now, the winner of this game is going to be taking on the Hamilton Hurricanes, as the Hamilton Hurricanes earlier today at Tim Hortons Field defeated the London Beefeaters by a pretty convincing score of 44-7. So the layout is simple. If the Fratmen win, the Hurricanes have to come down here next week. Time, date is almost set, but we'll give you that information once we have a clearer picture as to what happens here. And if the Sooners do happen to knock off the top provincially ranked team, then the game's going to be back in Hamilton next week. And we have the kickoff here from Andrew Beaton. He drives the ball, and this time it's over to the Sooners' right hash. Return man works his way up that right hash, tries to turn sideways as he gets piled up, and now he's working up the right side again. And that does indeed look like it's number 3 again, Marcus Severe, who once again, like I told you, was the conference return specialist of the year. I'm a little surprised that they're kicking it to him, but that might be just a message that they're sending. They might be challenging this young man, saying, listen, we think our coverage game is better than your return specialist of the year. So, so far, so good for the Fratmen, but I don't know if I'd play with that much fire. You're going to get Tyler Scott, who's going to have his best field position to start. He's going to have the ball at the 25-yard line. He brings 3 receivers to his left. Looks like it's McDonald again as the lone tailback. Turns, fakes. Oh, no, actually faked me out, as he did indeed hand the ball off, but that was some immediate penetration there, and that was led by number 94, Isaiah Belanger, D lineman for the Fratmen, who made a nice little knifing move inside from his D tackle position, and resulting in about a 4-yard loss, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and long for this visiting Sooner team. This time the Sooners bring in a tight end, so they come out with a Twins right look. Looks to the right, comes back to the left, going over the left hash right up the B seam, but that had nothing to do with it. That was Jalen Butcher. That's one of the best ways you can defend any kind of route, if you just run it for him and you just get your leverage on him. And Jalen Butcher he realized that slot receiver was running a seam, and he just jammed that up and cut off the route. That's as simple as it can get. If you're the receiver, what you want to try to do is get on the high side of that defender and stack him, forcing him to maybe run through you as you possibly slow down if you have to play for an underhanded ball or a ball that was thrown a little short. But once again, here's the all-conference kicker, Cole Cressette. His feet are on his own 5-yard line. No immediate pressure. A decent kick, high but definitely returnable, but not caught in the air, as Marcus Williams does catch the ball off one bounce at around the 52-yard line, 53-yard line, and that's where the Fratmen are going to start with their 3rd offensive possession. So that's 3 possessions, 3 times they are in the Sooners territory. Good coverage, good kick. The kicker is earning his keep right now. That's 2 times deep from his own end. He's punted and forced the Fratmen at least near the midfield stripe. So they haven't had to concede any points because of it. But the Fratmen, once again, are set up with pretty good field position in this high-powered offense. And there are several potential candidates here who can take the ball long, from the all-star Devin Woods to number 7, as you see running on our screen, Omar Hayes-Williams, to Benji DeGoose, who's another slot in 16. And then, of course, you have D'Angelo Knox and Jacoby Jones. Handoff inside to D'Angelo, who makes a quick little jump cut, spins through the hole, and he finds his way across the 50 all the way to about the 46-yard line. A good 1st down run for the visitor, or for the home team, excuse me. We're coming on 3 minutes to play in this opening quarter, with the Fratmen leading 7-0, as you see are on our game ticker at the bottom of the screen here. And there's a look at the defense. They're trying to get their calls from the sideline. The Fratmen haven't shown any urgency this year in getting to the line of scrimmage in any kind of hurry up. They like to control the pace of play. They like to lean on them and then take their shots vertical. There's Brandon Riem. Takes a high snap, again, hands the ball inside, and it looks like it's D'Angelo who's just going to push his way forward, and it does look like he got close to the 40-yard line, which is going to give the Fratmen another 1st down. This is exactly what Coach LaChance wanted to see. Speaking to him earlier in the game, he wanted to establish the line of scrimmage early. If you establish the line of scrimmage early, you will get it even more late. And that's the key here for any team in the playoffs. If you can establish the line of scrimmage early, it's going to make things work a lot better. So when you do take those quick little play action shots, you get the rewards of you having the line of scrimmage dominated, and it's going to pull those linebackers up. Again, it's D'Angelo Knox deep as they spread out 4 receivers to Brandon Ream's right. D'Angelo leaves, and they're going to throw a quick little out to D'Angelo, and the flat was just gobbled up. So the defensive back met D'Angelo after he caught it, but it looked like he took the brunt of it as he ripped his helmet off immediately. And you'll see here on the replay, dangerous throw in that it's out to the flat, but that was a square up hit, and the defensive back, his face went right into the chest. So it was a clean hit. It was not anything that was dirty. It was right to the chest plate, but he hurt himself as D'Angelo was able to keep his balance after that hit. We do have, at least in our screen, a flag on the play. I don't see a flag down on the field, but our ticker here is telling me there's a flag, so we'll find out if there was indeed one. As you see, number 3, the all-star return man and all-star defensive back, Marcus Severe. So we're going to see here exactly what's happening. And while we get a second, there's Sean Haskett, and he asked me to do him a favor. Sean Haskett has been a longtime trainer here, the gentleman in the gray, and he was looking at D'Angelo. Sean wanted me to give a shout out to his brother, Kevin Haskett, who watches these things and watches and listens and sees as much as he possibly can. So the foul here is against the visiting Sooners, and that's going to give the Fratmen a first down, as that's going to put it at the 28-yard line. And there's a great look at Sean. Sean gives his time up so much. He loves the sports community around here. I've known him for probably close to 20 years now, and I'm proud to call him a friend. And again, a shout out to his brother Kevin. Thanks for watching us here on we-tv.ca. As the Fratmen have yet another deep driving offense going into the, looks like the north end zone here. Inside run. And that was a quick little burst up the middle, and that's Jacoby Jones, who, like I just mentioned here, there's 3 or 4 different guys who can handle it. If it's not D'Angelo, it's going to be the other running back, and that's number 22, Jacoby Jones, who he pressed the hole. And that's the one thing you always want to do on an inside running play. Press that hole, get into the second level. And if you have to make a cut, make it past it. Here he goes down the line of scrimmage. He gets into the hole, realizes that he can just squeeze right through it. He did not get off his track at all. And when you get a downhill runner driving his knees through, I don't care about the size of the runner. If you make a decisive move as you press through that hole, you can get positive yards, and he indeed got positive yards as he picked up a big touchdown run as the Angelo Knox went to the sideline to get some medical attention. The Fratmen extend their lead on the leg of Andrew Beaton to make that score 14-0 with about a minute 50 left in this opening quarter. So the Fratmen are imposing their will in the force unit right now, and that's a good sign if you're a Fratmen fan, as the offensive line led by 2 All-Stars. 2 All-Stars on the offensive line, DeMarcus Ware and Mustafa Mahri, and both of them. And here are one of our presenting partners here at we-tv.ca, Harold Remark. We would like to thank him for all his support of all the athletics presented here and for Fratmen football on we-tv.ca. Thanks again to our presenting partner, Harold Remark at Royal LePage. Back to the Sooner sideline. Now you got 2 coaches, O coordinator, D coordinator, who are going to have to discuss what their next strategy of attack is. They have to get, first of all, some field position and try to flip this field. Because so far, that has given the Fratmen short fields. They have 3 touchdown drives, yet they probably only have about 120 yards of total offense as the kick goes away from Severe this time to the left hash. And that looks like it's number 1. And that is an all-star receiver who works his way up the right sideline, stays in bound as he crosses midfield, gets to the 50-yard line. And that's Enzo Trunzo, all-star receiver, 1 of 2 for the visiting Sooners. So now you picked your poison the first couple times to the return specialist. He did not get the ball, and then the all-star receiver makes his way up the right sideline. That's not something you wanted to see if you're a Fratmen fan, but that's exactly what you needed to see if you're the Sooners bench. You needed to get out of your own end. You needed to get into the Fratmen side to, at worst case, even if they only get 1 first down here, they can try to punt and force the Fratmen to go the length of the field. Tyler Scott, once again, is the quarterback, and he has emptied the backfield, 4 to his left. He's looking left, throws that quick hitch right to the outside, and it was incomplete, but even if it was completed, it looked like Spencer Trinity was there to make the immediate tackle. That is such a long throw in the Canadian field, and I'd rather throw a boundary quick hitch to get that ball to him quicker so he has time to respond in case somebody runs up, but that throw was almost 40 yards to the sideline. Maybe not quite 40, but 30 yards, and that's just a long throw from one hash all the way to the outside sideline. It gives the defensive backs time to adjust. And Tyler Scott's going to take a shot over the top. His intended receiver was indeed Trunzo, who you just saw return that across midfield. So 2 plays, 2 and out, and that's going to bring the punter out. Crissette's going to come on out and see if he can actually drive this one now down inside the 10. One thing we don't see too much, and as you see some excited Fratmen, and those are the receivers. The receivers love the attention. They're divas. That was Benji and Devin on the sideline dancing around. But there's a look at Cressette, and he's going to try to probably pin them deep. One thing, again, you don't necessarily see a lot is angled kicking anymore. Let's see if he tries to angle. He turns his shoulders. Looks like he's trying to get this out of bounds along the right sideline, and that is indeed the case. It's a great angled kick, and it's picked up, touched. Now, I don't know if he was onside. I don't see a flag. I should see a flag. If he was, if it was deemed touch by Marcus Cooper, then that ball is live and you can pick it up. And that does indeed look like the case. But then that ball got loose on our replay. Now, there's no replay on this league here, but that looked like it was never really securely handled. But either way, we have a touch by the return man off a great kick from the all-star kicker. And that negates any no yards, which is fine. If you're not going to handle it cleanly, you better make sure that that ball goes out of bounds. But that indeed didn't happen, and the Sooners were able to pick it up, and that was number 7, Malcolm Carter, the Offensive Player of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year on special teams is going to go make a play. Now, the only thing that confused me was I wasn't sure if there was, oh, well, we got a time count violation, so that means the Sooners were not set, and they didn't have enough personnel on the field, so they called the delay of the game. Which, me personally, I would rather take the 5-yard penalty and kick this extra point for 5 yards deeper than burn one of my timeouts. So I'm okay if I'm the coaching staff at Ottawa. Now I'll have to ask and take a look, but the personnel, I did a quick count and I thought there was 13, and there it is. So now somebody's running off the field. So they thought they had 12 or 11. They really had 12, and they ran the guy right back off the field. Cressette from the hold of Trunza. Kick is up. Kick is good. No flag on the play, so everything's set. Now we have a 14-7 lead. That is exactly what the Sooners needed. Some sort of mistake from the Fratmen. The Fratmen served it up right on the silver plate. And the All-Star Offensive Player of the Year, number 7, Malcolm Carter, picked up, scooped, and scored that fumbled punt, advanced it for the touchdown. Just to bring you to light of Ontario Football Conference play, earlier today the Hamilton Hurricanes did indeed win over the visiting London Beefeaters by a score of 44-7. So they sit and wait for the winner of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if they have somebody down in Windsor right now watching the game, getting their notes and making careful observations of both teams, just in the event that they're going to have to host Ottawa or travel back down to Windsor. Just under a minute left in this opening quarter. Cressette kicks the ball. It's a low driver. It bounces. It works its way. Looks like that's Jacoby Jones who gets it up the right hash. He makes a stutter step, tries to get up the right sideline, but to no avail as he's tackled by number 25, and that's Jadell Farron who makes the tackle. And the Fratmen have their worst starting field position, which is still half decent. It's at around the 28-yard line. We'll see what the Fratmen can do here with 46 seconds left on the scoreboard clock in this opening quarter of Ontario Football Conference semifinal action, presented to you here on we-tv.ca. And the play clock is now wound in along with the game clock, and Brandon Ream calling out his signals in the huddle. Offensive line takes a look at what they have in front of them. They see a 3-down lineman set, a big nose right in front of the center. Motion from D'Angelo Knox out of the backfield. Brandon Ream looks left, stays left, throws that quick little hitch to the left, and that little hitch is to number 16, Benji DeGoose, a short gainer, about 3 yards. I'm not sure that was his intended target. It looked like he had to clutch a couple times. I think he was hoping to get maybe some sort of slip screen out of that and maybe get somebody getting vertical. But the Sooners had none of that as they took away the over-the-top stuff and gave them a 3-yard gain, and that's going to bring up a second and medium, which is probably right around the longest the Fratmen have had so far this game, as this is going to be the final play of the quarter. Brandon Real calls for the snap, backfield empties. He does get some pressure, but he scrambles and he's directing traffic, telling people to get vertical, but instead he just decides, I'm going to go get this first down on my own. And from the spot on the sideline, it looks like he's going to be just short, as we are going to throw this down to commercial, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
Here in the OFC semifinals, Aaron Sanders with you again, and we have an update on what happened between the London Beefeaters and the Hamilton Hurricanes game. We already found out one piece of the puzzle because that game drew to a final. It will be the Hurricanes going to the finals after beating London 44-7. So now the other piece of the puzzle, we're about to find out what embarks here in this game between the Fratmen and the Ottawa Sooners. So let's go back up to Badi with a call.
Thank you, and welcome back here to Ontario Football Conference play as we start the second quarter with a punt for the Fratmen. And there you see number 29, Andrew Beaton. Little bit of pressure. The ball does manage to get off. It's angled to the sideline, and it's going to be handled out around the 38-yard line, and that is number 3, Severe, who does indeed take a good hit from his counterpart, number 3 on the Fratmen, Ishmael Johnson, who does deliver a solid tackle, and that's going to give the visitors pretty good field position to start, as the ball is going to be officially marked at the 44-yard line. If you're just joining us, quick little game recap. The Windsor AKO Fratmen got up to a 14-0 lead, had tremendous field position for virtually the entire first quarter. A botched punt resulted in a scoop and score for the visitors, who closed the gap to 14-7 near the end of the first quarter, and now we are in the second quarter with the first offensive possession for Tyler Scott and his visiting Sooners. High snap, looks to his right, quick flare out to his slot receiver or to his running back. That is his running back, number 26, Vincent McDonald, and he gets tackled immediately by a host of Fratmen. I believe that was led by number 4, Adam Chin, and that's going to be maybe a half-yard gain, as we're going to get a second down play. And there was a flag, so we're going to get that official indication right now. So it looks like they're talking to the Fratmen sideline, so that would indicate we have a rough play, face mask against the offense. So that's going to take them back 15 yards. The play is going to count, so I'm pretty sure they're going to move that to a second down on the box. And that is probably the worst thing that could have happened to the Sooners. A 15-yard, very rare for an offensive face mask to be called. I'm not sure if that was on the ball carrier himself. I know a couple weeks ago Brandon did that with a stiff arm. I don't think the receiver running back had a chance to stiff arm, but immediate pressure, McDonald throws it up to grabs, and that is tremendous coverage. That is number 17 for the Fratmen, Elijah Blythe, who was an all-star in his own right this year in the conference, and he matched up against the all-star on the other side, Enzo Trunza, and he just ran with him stride for stride. That is tremendous coverage, and that is just a good defensive play. That had to be an absolutely perfect throw. Margin for error was very little there, as the Sooners have to bring out their punter to see if he can drive one deep. If there's wind, it's slightly now at his back right now for the All-Star. Deep for the Fratmen, it looks like it's number 3, Ishmael Johnson, and Spencer Trenier. Spencer Trenier has been rock solid all year long, number 8. He is set up on the left hash. Ishmael Johnson is set up on the right hash. Good snap, no pressure. Fratmen are setting up a return. Ball is kicked in the direction of Trenier. He catches it. It does look like it's a no yards, but he does break that initial tackle as Trenier does work his way across the midfield stripe. That's going to be, well, let me wait, because not only could it be a no yards, but he might have been pushed into the play as well. So I'll see if there's going to be on both sides, but that looked like a no yards. And if it is, it's a 15-yard variety because that ball was caught cleanly in the air. So we have a conference right now. They're looking at it. They're going back to the 47 where he caught the ball, and they move up 15 from the point of catch, which would likely exceed the point of
on the
return.
return team, no yards. On the kicking team, next 5 yards, come up 5, 1st and 10, 5 yards up.
All right, so sort of like I thought. I wanted to wait till I got the official word. Now, they said there was a block in the back. Now, a push in the back. Now, the key here is there's a net gain of 5. And if anyone here watches any kind of other football other than Canadian, those usually offset and you replay everything. But not in Canada. You get the net gain. They went back to the point where it was caught, moved up 5 yards, and the Fratmen have it at the 52-yard line. D'Angelo knocks deep. Straight ISO run to the right. D'Angelo sees nothing, bounces it out to the right side, uses some of his quickness to get up that right sideline, and then does cross the midfield stripe as he gets it to about the 54-yard line, just on the other side of the midfield stripe, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and 6. And that's the difference you see between Jacoby Jones and D'Angelo Knox. Jacoby likes to stay pressing and downhill a little bit more. D'Angelo is such a tremendous athlete that he likes it. As we see some of the Fratmen fan on a beautiful fall day here in Windsor, Ontario. I mean, the field conditions couldn't be any better. There's a light breeze, but it is not too cool around here. Where else would you rather be? Sitting at home watching Michigan, Penn State? I don't think so. But I'll give you some updates once I get that for all our fans watching here on we.tv.ca. Snap, counter, boot. And Brandon has some pressure and decides he better not throw this, and then he just protects the ball as he's tackled for a 5-yard loss, and that's going to bring up a 3rd down and 11, and they're going to have to punt. So the Fratmen try to get a little bit of counter boot action going here, letting their athlete at the quarterback get around the outside, but the Sooners, to their credit, did a tremendous job of containing. They didn't fall for the boot action, and you'll see on the replay here that they worked their way outside of the sort of wedge back blocker, and that was Jacoby Jones. And unfortunately for the Sooners, they were able to corral him because Brandon is a tremendous athlete. So you have Andrew Beaton once again into punt. His feet are on his own 35-yard line. Looks like it's Trunzo and Severe deep. Low lining drive in the middle of the field, and it looks like it's Trunzo who picks it up, and he works his way left quick, and then there's a whole host of Fratmen coverage guys. So maybe a 1-yard gain as the Sooners are going to have the ball at around the 34-yard line. So after it looked like the Fratmen were able to get tremendous movement on the line of scrimmage early in the game, and they were actually held out of the end zone on a 3rd and goal from the 2.5-yard line. This could have been a lot worse for the visitors, but all things considered, with 12 minutes and counting in the first half, the Sooners are holding their own. They're down 1 score, and they've sort of flipped the field position. They have a little better starting ground right now, and they are only down by that 7 points. As I referenced, McDonald again is your quarterback. 3 receivers to his right. Oh, we got some early movement. It looked like the right guard rocked backwards. And that is indeed the indication. When you're big, and I call them big, I'm not going to use the fat word, which I just used. The bigs up front, you can't move at all because it's hard to miss you. And he indeed thought the ball was going to be snapped a little sooner. He set up his set, and before you know it, the flag comes out, and it's a 1st and 15. So the flags have definitely hindered the Sooners. Their last drive was completely crushed by an offensive face mask, and now they have to start 1st and 15. Almost got the Fratmen a jump. Hard count from the quarterback. Looks like a stretch off tackle run. And the Fratmen lose a little bit of their leverage in their containment, which allows the running back to work his way up that left sideline and pick up about 6 or 7 yards. And that does indeed amount to a 7-yard run. So now the Sooners are getting their calls directly from the sideline right now as they get to the line of scrimmage right away, trying to get a little tempo going here. As it looks like we have a new ball carrier in the backfield. That's number 13, Jean-Paul Sindakinda. And some pressure from the Fratmen results in an interception as that was undercut and jumped. And that's number 17 for the Fratmen, Elijah Blythe. They challenged the all-star defensive back, and they picked the wrong guy to challenge as that ball got intercepted and taken to the house on the pick six. There was a flag. So here you'll see McDonald on the scramble, and he challenges the all-star defensive back. And the defensive back made no mistake with his ball skills, got himself all the way into the end zone for the touchdown. And we do have a flag on the play, and we're going to get that final call here as the Fratmen now have matched a turnover score. So here comes Mr. McDonald with the call. Touchdown is good.
10 yards will be applied on the kickoff.
And on sportsmanlike conduct for spiking the ball. Well, I don't know if Elijah spiked the ball. I thought I saw Elijah drop it. Now, if one of the other people picked it up and kicked it or did something, but any action with the ball is not allowed. So either way, the Fratmen do get the benefit of the touchdown. The defense does come through big there. And the Fratmen are now going to have to kick from their own 35-yard line after that interception score for a touchdown. There's a look at Elijah, number 17 there, and that's it. And he's tremendous. He's been rock solid all year. Earlier, you saw that perfect coverage running the route for the receiver in essence, and you can't challenge the best players all that often. And that's why in major professional sports, if there's a shutdown corner, that shutdown corner is there for a reason, because they oftentimes will make you pay for the times you challenge them. And this young man has been that case for the Fratmen all year long. So as you see, the Fratmen line up, and there's Beaton again with the ball at the 35-yard line. And that is the result of that objectionable conduct penalty. Excessive celebration, spiking the ball was the call. So the kick is off to the right, and that looks like it's heading out of bounds, and that is awful. That's going to now set them up at the 50-yard line because of the penalty, and that's just a mess. Andrew is a better kicker than that. He knows better. Compounding that with the fact that the objectionable conduct moved him back 10 yards, that now is going to give them a ball at the 50-yard line without having to do a single thing. That's a mistake. That is a mistake that Coach LaChance will have to talk to his special teams team or coach and to his kicker about. You can't have that. That is just unacceptable. Low line drive, dribble the thing, keep it in bounds. Do not give them a freebie like that. Let's see how Tyler Scott recovers from that pick six. 3 receivers to his right. He looks right, throws left. Over the top coverage has an intended receiver, and that is the big number 7, Malcolm Carter, the offensive player of the year in the conference, and the one you saw score early. He is all of that 6'3" frame, and he could be even taller. He is a big athletic receiver. My criticism is not of him. My criticism is of the fact that Brandon Riem did not get the offensive player of the year in lieu of Malcolm Carter. Brandon Riem led the nation in passer efficiency, threw for over 20 touchdowns, 69% completion rate, had over 2,000 yards of offense. And then to add insult to injury, Brandon Riem wasn't even the all-star quarterback in the Ontario Football Conference. Another story. As Scott looks left again to his big receiver, and that ball looks like it sailed out of bounds, and that is indeed the case. Spencer Trinier in coverage, and you do see the push-ups being done there. A drop ball. He thinks it was dropped, as you see. Tyler Scott just going to his big man, and that is a mismatch. As good as Spencer is, Spencer's better in a underneath sort of pressure situation where he can read and react and come up and make the tackle in a straight man coverage. My guess is that's going to favor the Sooners. So if they see that again, I would not be surprised if they exploit it. Second down and 10. Good snap. Looks over the right, throws the ball to the corner, and he had a receiver there. I just don't think he put enough air on that. if you're going to throw that smash right, that corner route, that ball has to be thrown over the top. You'll see McDonald throw. That can't be a laser. That has to be thrown, and unfortunately our camera angle wasn't able to get that full view. You got to get a little bit of arc on that, and you got to let the running back, or excuse me, the receiver run almost all the way to the cone. And that case scenario was an incomplete pass, and it's going to bring up a field goal situation as the holder, which I believe is number 1, the all-star receiver, Trunzo. He is going to have the ball at the 28-yard line, well within the range of Crissette. Left hash, good snap, good hold, kick is up, and the kick is wide left, as Spencer Trinier was the lone man. Deep ball sails through the back of the end zone, and the Rouge, yes, the Rouge, the single, the 1 point for not making a field goal. I still have always questioned that. I just would like to not have that play. And more importantly, though, I wish that play didn't exist in overtime. I've already, as a longtime coach, I've already been on the short end of that one. This Rouge in overtime drives me crazy. Score, kick a field goal, do something. Either way, the point is up on the board. You have a 21-8 score with about 9 minutes left in the opening half. The Fratmen are going to get the ball at the 35-yard line. So for the last 2 drives, it's been Sooner defense with the win. Let's see if Coach LaChance dials up some inside power running game and maybe brings his bigs across with just a lead-o power type play, and if they can open up some of those early seams. And at least they come out in a wing set and they put a tight end on the field to quarterback's left. Inside running play, and they just do not block the end man on the line of scrimmage. Somebody screwed up very badly, because you do not leave an end man on the line of scrimmage to come up the field square. That's number 79, Kevin Matumbo. And you can't let outside linebacker, defensive end just walk up, especially when you're running the ball to that side. So I'm not sure if that was Jacoby or the tight end, because the tight end collapsed down and Jacoby pressed inside. If the tight end crashes down, I would have figured the fullback goes to the end man. If the tight end squeezes out and turnout blocks, then you get the insert from the lead blocker or the fullback. But somebody screwed up. That's going to bring up 2nd down and long. Again, tight to the quarterback's right this time. Inside run. And D'Angelo Knox exploits a seam, and that's exactly what Coach LaChance was trying to, and he stubbornly sent a message, we're just going to run, and we're going to run to the tight end side. And this is just 34 go. This is an old school play. Tight end, tackle block down, big number 50, DeMarcus Ware pulls and kicks, get his heads in the hole, drives that defensive end out. Maybe that was supposed to be the last play and the guard didn't pull. I could be wrong, could have been that guy who made the mistake, but either way, that's a play that I remember installing and running back when I played here for AKL. That's just straight 34 go. I run it with my high school still. 1st down, 51-yard line. And 35 go. There's the seal, and that's going to give D'Angelo a chance to stretch his legs up the left sideline. Now he works his way all the way across the 40-yard line, and we do have a flag on the field. And given that we have a number of flags, let me take this opportunity to introduce our gentlemen who have these flags. The head referee, as I've mentioned before, is John McDonald. Your umpire is Alex Jemmy. The back ump is Kirk Hayes. Your back judge is John Dotson. Chris Patton serves as your head linesman. Your line judge is Joe Cooper. And your field judge is Todd Whited. Now, my guess is you're going to get a hold on the offense, but it was after 1st down yardage.
On the offense, after the 1st down, 10 yards, be 1st and 10, back 10 yards.
And that's it. So this is going to bring him back to around the midfield stripe, and that is indeed the case. They're going to have it at the 54-yard line, but because it was after yards were gained, the 1st down is still on the board. It's 1st and 10 from the 54-yard line on the positive side of the field. And this is something that I know Coach LaChance has talked to me about, just putting tight ends on the field, getting back to the old school. This time, his tight is to the left. So this is what we would call wing right. Counter tray. I see the lineman pulling. There's D'Angelo, who follows his lead block up the field, and that should have went a lot further simply because his lineman got up the field. So that tells me the right tackle or the right guard did not sustain their down block or did not climb properly to linebacker level because that should have been probably about a 8-9 yard gain based on how I saw the lineman get around the horn. But either way, a positive gain bringing them to the 50-yard line is going to bring down a 2nd and 6. Two tights on the field this time. Jacoby working Brandon's right. Riem gets a snap. Looks like it's quarterback power. Quarterback power works his way forward for about a 3-yard gain, and that's going to bring up a 3rd down. And officially 3 yards to go. Now we'll see what Coach LaChance opts to do. The offense has stayed on the field. Are they simply going to get a hard count going right now and try to draw the defense off? Most teams in this type of situation will take that penalty if they have to and then punt. So you're going to see some of the linemen report accordingly. You got some bigs on the field. You got Slickbore on the field, who was your defensive player of the year in the conference, but he comes in on offense, and they snap the ball. They give it to D'Angelo, and D'Angelo looks like he was trying to knife his way up that left side, and he did not get it. He needed to cross the 45-yard line, and he is stopped clearly at the 46-yard line. You see here on the replay, there was too much penetration. Way too much penetration, and you cannot allow any kind of knifing penetration on any kind of run play, because that's just going to create some spill, or in this case a tackle for a loss, and that's 2 stops by the Sooners. I'm a little surprised they went and quick snapped that. I'm okay if you're going to go run the play, but I would have rather had it on maybe a hard count and see if you can get the freebie and then run the play while they're sitting in wait. But if you just go on that quick snap, they're all coming forward, and that's exactly what they did, come forward. So the Sooners have great field position here, looking to close on that lead as they sit 21-8 in deficit here with 4.5 minutes left in this half. Quick little hitch to the Offensive Player of the Year. That's number 7, Carter. Malcolm crosses the midfield stripes, crosses the 50-yard line and gets himself to about the 51-yard line. It's going to make it 2nd and 5. So they took a shot over the top, and from this angle, you can see how tall this young man is. Big, tall, and he is all of that. He is a talent, and it's a credit to him how talented he is. Just in my humble opinion, based on what I've seen all year long and some of the game tape I've had a chance to evaluate, I have a hard time believing Brandon wasn't the player of the year in this conference. Just shocking. McDonald looks left, sees some pressure, flares it out to his slot receiver. That's number 12 as he gets just short of the midfield stripe, and that's going to be a 3rd down situation. So now a decision. It's right on the midfield stripe, so they're going to need about a yard. Now in Canada, most of these decisions are pretty simple. You're going to go under center and you're going to wedge this forward, but the trend in today's modern game is shotgun spread. I am surprised more teams just don't practice that inside wedge, hand the ball, get under center and quarterback sneak. Now it looks like they've brought in a specialist for it, so it does look like the Sooners actually do that, so they must have repped it with their guy, number 13, and he does wedge forward, and it looks like he has more than enough for the 1st down, as that's Jean-Paul Simon-Kinda who comes in. And I know in years past he has been their feature back. I believe last year he led their team in rushing. So he just took his quarterback wedge and moved forward. Now we got a stop in the play, so I'm assuming they're going to give the 3-minute warning right now. And I'm pretty sure we haven't had any timeouts yet, so both teams on the game reset are going to have each of their timeouts available to them as we get to the 3-minute warning. And now is when the most penal of all penalties comes in if you get a time count in Canadian football. A lot of pressure as the quarterback felt it. McDonald felt it. He had his little slot receiver again, just leaking out to the right, and that was Joey Wren who was leaking. If he would have got him, he might have been able to turn it up the field and pick up a few more yards, and if he made a man miss, he might have had a lot more. But he overshot him. He felt the pressure. Coach Morency dials up some pressure off his left, and fortunately for the Sooners, at least he was scrambling to his right, so he had a chance to complete it, but to no avail as it brings up a 2nd down and 10. Empty backfield, 4 receivers to McDonald's right, 2 to his left. And we have a whistle from the sideline. I think the ball must have been misaligned. Well, see, because it's on the blue. The blue is confusing because the lines aren't marked off properly, so we can't see it. No, whatever. Just get this thing set up and let's play. Let's play football. So now we have a second down and 10. Quads to the right. Duo to the left. Snap comes. Looks left. Throws left. Trying to go to his big receiver. And there was a battle there, and it looked like both guys tried to fight for it, and Spencer was running with Carter, and here you'll see on the replay, the ball was underthrown, thrown was inside, but his big receiver did make a play to come back to it. You got to catch that. This is a playoff game. Win, play on. Lose, season's done. You expect your ulcers, and you can tell he's disappointed in himself. He is not happy that he dropped it. It's unfortunate for the Sooners because they had a one-on-one situation with their best player. Crissette back in. He's going to punt from around his own 42-yard line. He does take an awful lot of time, but there's no pressure right now. So this ball is caught. It looks like it's Trinier. Trinier works his way up the right hash, works his way back up the middle of the field, and has some running room, and he's going to work up the left hash, get to the left sideline as he crosses midfield over the 50 to the 40 before he's finally wrapped up and brought down at about the 28-yard line. And then we get a penalty. It looked like as Spencer got up, he sort of violently released the ball. Now, if it made contact with the Sooner player, and here you'll see Spencer Trinier catches the ball at his own 15-yard line right on the hash, works his way right, and then realizes, I better cut back, and he gets across the grain, and he's been very good at this all year long. He gets some good blocking there, and he works his way all the way up. And now he's across midfield strike here, and he works his way across the 40-yard line all the way to the 30-yard line, eventually 20. When he gets up, he spikes it. And that was the case. So I saw violent action. I wasn't sure if he made contact with the player or not. But that was a spike in jubilation. But you can't do that. You can't. It's just not allowed. I've never been a fan of not being able to do that, but I understand why. It takes time away. It could result in some heated action from the opponent. So just know better. These are men here. They're not boys. They need to know better. It cost him 10 yards, and now they're at the 39-yard line instead of the 29-yard line. 2:22 left in the game in the first half. Jacoby Jones is deep. He now empties the backfield. Riem looks right. He's going to get into the slot seam here, and he misses his target, and that is one of his favorite, Omar Hayes-Williams. Omar looked like he was just doing a little bit of a curl right into that seam. And he squatted down, and Brandon just did not get it. That was one of his worst throws that I've seen, and he's had a bunch of really, really good ones. And he's completed, like I said, 69% for almost 1,600 yards, and that's in 6 games. 20 touchdowns against 2 interceptions this year, a passer rating of 143, and he's not the all-star quarterback either. I don't understand this. Inside run, Jacoby looks like, confused me as they run a little slip screen to the outside. So that must have been, as Tony Romo calls it, an RPO, a run pass option, where they're going to have the quarterback, if he likes what he sees in a numbers game on the other side, pull the ball and throw it. And that was indeed the case. My only question to that was, and the reason why I may have even got a little confused, is I exclusively start by watching the offensive line. I saw the offensive line get across that line of scrimmage pretty violently and engaged. I don't know if they were down the field, but it looked awfully close to me. And we got some early movement, and now it looks like there was a hard count, and they got the Sooners to jump. It was a third down play. And they're just going to sort this out right now. It looked like it was the outside linebacker.
Offside on the defense. 5 yards, first down.
And that's what I thought the Fratmen were going to do the last third down. At least go on a hard count. This time they went on the hard count. They got a free one because it looked like their outside linebacker, number 45, rolled up to strength of formation, and he got his weight going forward, and his hips rolled across the line of scrimmage on the hard count. And that's an easy free 5. If you just go on a quick snap and the defense is going forward, it cost them last time. This time, much better decision by everyone involved. Running back Jones leaves the backfield. Riem looks left, is going to go over the top in the slot to his favorite big man, and that is number 12. That is Devin Woods, once again, the all-star receiver. And that was a tight window. Brandon Riem is angry right now, angry that he was disrespected, and he puts that into a window where it can't go over his outside shoulder. Most slot seams usually want to be on the outside shoulder to fade away from the free safety, but they had leverage there. So Brandon throws this right over top of the underneath coverage, and Devin goes and gets the ball. That is a tremendous, tremendous catch and a pin-perfect throw. So Brandon comes off of one of his worst throws to a fantastic throw as they get this extra point. And with 1:53 left in this half, the Fratmen now have extended their lead to 20 points as they sit at 28 versus the 8 for the Sooners. And the Sooners have some offensive issues to hash out right now because the points that they have received were beneficiary of an a special teams mishap as the Fratmen botched a punt. As you see, Coach LaChante's talking to Devin there and just telling him, good way to go up and get it. And he probably told him that's how you have to reroute that. You sense that corner coming off your backside like that, you have no choice but to get that vertical and maybe even bend it inside. And if your quarterback and your receiver aren't on the same page, big trouble, because that's usually intercepted. But there you go. There is one of the best players in the league. And he is just not rewarded at all. Not even a conference all-star, not even a nomination for anything like that. That's a better kick from Bean. Drive that thing, let it bounce around. Doesn't have to go out of bounds. And that ball is handled by number 13, Simonkaina, looks like. And he's rumbling and tumbling for a big, long man. And he crosses the 15-yard line over the 20-yard line. Looks like it's going to be around the 23-yard line. We do have a player down on the field as it looks like a Sooner is being looked at by his teammates right now, but there we have it. And that looks like it's number 85, which I don't appear to have an 85 on my depth chart. Or it's 35, Travell Wisdom, a linebacker. And he's looking like he's looking, or the trainer, she is looking at his left leg, knee. And that does look like a linebacker mask, and that is indeed number 35. And he's just sort of gingerly walking off the field right now. So we'll see if that's going to play into a concern for the Sooners. Now, their numbers didn't look bad as they were warming up. It looked like they had a full fielded roster, but when I got my game sheet today, there was like 8 or 9 scratch-offs. And when I counted through and I looked at it, I said, well, it doesn't look like they fielded the full roster. They have enough. They have more than enough, but I don't think they have the full 45 allotted. All right, reverse pivot pitch, and we got a flag here. We got another flag. And this is from our side judge, and that is our line judge, Joe Cooper, threw it from the far side so that the receiver breached the line of scrimmage.
Number 7 on the orange. 5 yards, we'll replay, 1st and 15.
So if that was number 7, that might have been the split end, and that's the big receiver, Malcolm Carter. And if he's set on the line, he can't be moving. He can't be getting across the line of scrimmage from his split end position. So let's see if the Fratmen can dial up some pressure here, or if they're going to just play coverage behind it. So far, they've only brought some selective pressure. And they have played coverage back behind it. Again, 4-man rush, and they do indeed play coverage behind it. But the little slot hitch screen does pick up a good 6 or 7 extra yards because they were able to set that edge. And that ends up being about a 9-yard gain, bringing up a 2nd down and 5, let's call it. Another flag on the field. Oh, I stand corrected. Our ticker might still have had the flag from the previous one. Okay, so we're blowing in with 1:40 left in this half. Empty backfield. Quick hitch to the right. They're going to the well again. They try to peel it back up inside and well blocked, and that gives the receiver an opportunity to work his way up the right sideline and get out of bounds, and that's Dylan Kazda. And with 1:27, 2 timeouts, this is a good drive, or the start of a good drive. They're getting some tempo here as the ball's going to get to the 50-yard line. 3 receivers to McDonald's left. A running back looks like it's Simonkina again. Over the middle, looking for a go route right up the seam, and that's the slot receiver. That looks like it's number 1, Trunza again. And Trunzo just looked like he was blanketed. Hard to tell, hard to see him, hard to find him, as that looked like it was number 6 for the Fratmen. Oh, excuse me, that is number 9 for the Fratmen in coverage. And that was Tarek Bonus, who moved from his linebacker and just slid up and took up that slot seam, which you would think is a mismatch. That's sort of like the way you see a New England Patriots use a Wes Welker for years and a Julian Edelman for years until he got hurt this year. 5 receivers to the quarterback's left. He's going to throw the little bubble to his big running back, who does not get the block he needs, and he only picks up about 4 yards. That's going to bring up a 3rd down and about 8. I would guess the Sooners have to punt. They can't give up field position here. They have to punt, get this ball inside the 20-yard line, and if the Fratmen do happen to score, you got to make them go 100 yards. And that does look like it is the case, as both teams here, and it looks like the Fratmen may have called the timeout, which is indeed the case. Makes sense. The tackle was in the field to play. Coach LaChance can't take him with him to the second half, so he might as well use one now, save the 20 seconds on this side, so that his offense has probably just over a minute, regardless of where this ends up, to maybe mount one more scoring drive. And there's a look at the sideline, and there's Darren Kinketto, an old teammate of mine. I believe he's the president of the OFC right now, and that's Coach McCurdy talking to him. There's a look at Coach Morency. He's instructing some of his defenders who are probably going to be on in a punt-safe situation, probably not going to take the defense off just in case they do some sort of fake. You might as well keep your defensive personnel on, and then just bring one return man in. And they do have Trenier, who plays defense anyway, so he's going to just drop back to his normal spot, and he's going to be accompanied by Ishmael Johnson, who is another defender anyway. So if they were to maybe leak somebody up into the seam, you have 2 defensive backs in the back end returning this anyway. Good snap, no pressure, setting the return. High kick going up the right hash of the return team, and that ball sails out of bounds, and we're just going to wait for the inexact science of where that ball crossed the imaginary out of bounds boundary, and that has been determined at the 28-yard line. And that's where the Fratmen are going to have probably their final possession of this opening half here in semifinal action, as they have 1:10 left, and they have a 20-point lead. One timeout left. The Sooners have, looks like it says there's none on the board, but I don't remember using theirs at all. I think they still have their 2. But either way, they're not likely going to stop the clock for the Fratmen as they run a quarterback power. Brandon Ream gets out the right sideline, and then he just gets out of bounds after he crosses the 30-yard line and gets to about the 33-yard line. So it's going to bring up a 2nd down and about 4. They got to be setting up something off of that. I know they're not just running Brandon Ream to run Brandon Ream because they think they need to get him a couple yards. He is the only real quarterback on the depth chart. The backup quarterback is D'Angelo Knox, period. They do not have a thrower that they trust after Brandon. That being said, I'm guessing they're going to have some sort of boot off of that, and soon enough we might see it. Now, if the score keeps going the way it is, you might not, but I'm sure they have something off of that. High snap handled by Ream. He looks left, steps up into the pocket, realized that he can make a man miss, but he didn't, and he got stood up square at around the 37-yard line. In there, high snap. Brandon looks left, doesn't like what he sees, steps up into the pocket, tries to juke, and he got squared up. And that's number 55 with an excellent tackle, and that's Nick Goody, linebacker, as the Fratmen are going to go for it on 3rd and 1. Brandon Ream under center, a little goose and go, little wedge, hard counting them. and they turn and hand the ball off, and that's Jacoby Jones, who looks like he muscles his way forward. And it looks like he crossed the 38-yard line to about the 39, and I think that's all he needed. It's a gamble, but I think the gamble paid off, as they're going to give him the first down, and that is indeed the case. It's Canada. I don't mind this call. People might say just punt the ball. Get the darn yard. I'm surprised they turned and handed the ball off, but hey, either way, you got two all-star linemen. Just go behind them. Go behind them. Just lean forward and get that. So you got 50 seconds left, and it looks like the Fratmen have used their final timeout. So you're going to have 48.8 seconds left here in the opening half of semifinal action here on we-tv.ca. As you see Coach LaChance looking at his call sheet. Joel Archer there. Benji DeGoose coming into the screen. And there's Marcus Williams. You got Jacoby. They're all just looking like, yeah, I can beat my guy. That's what all the receivers are telling me. I can beat my guy. Just put me in and I can beat my guy. And Omar Hayes Williams comes into the picture, and he's going to be like, well, I can beat my guy too. All of them can. That's what they're saying. And Coach LaChance is just trying to pick which play he wants to run right now. I would not be surprised if they get some semblance of yardage here, if you see a right to the line of scrimmage after this, because he's probably talking to his guys saying, listen, we're going to call 3 plays. If we get a second and long, this is what we want after this play. If we get a second and short, this is what we want. So he's going to put his base play in right now. I'm sure they have a checkoff if they want at the line of scrimmage, but then they're going to have 2 other calls for the situation because they're out of timeouts, and if this ball stays in bounds, they want to at least be able to quickly get to the line of scrimmage and run a play. That's, of course, if it doesn't get the first down. If you get the first down, you get a little bit of time because the clock's going to stop until they set the chains. 3 receivers to Reham's right. No sign of D'Angelo Knox. He has not returned. He only had 1 play since that big hit. Jacoby Jones takes the ball off the left edge, carries it forward, works his way across the 45-yard line, and it looks like a horse collar. Looks like he had the back of the jersey and he was dragging from behind. So that is a huge break for the Fratmen, because not only is the yardage going to be added on, this clock's going to stop now until the snap. With 42 seconds left, that is just what a lucky break, as they're going to get 15 yards. That's it. Unnecessary roughness, horse collar. That's going to move them up. So you see Jacoby gets outside the containment. As he gets going there, there's the pull right from the collar, right behind him. And that is automatic. And that's now dated back to that year where Terrell Owens blew his leg out that one year when he was tackled from behind. And it is a violent action. If you really do pull a guy going backwards, a lot of hurt can be had. All right, stop clock. Fortunate break for the Fratmen as they have 3 receivers to their right. Inside run to Jacoby. Jacoby presses that hole again. I love the way he insists on pressing that hole on that quick little goal play. And he gets it all the way inside the 40-yard line. Looks like it's to the 35-yard line. So the Fratmen are going to have to organize here, and because the snap's going to come on the whistle for ready to play. So the Fratmen are at the line of scrimmage. They're just waiting for get that thing set. 3 receivers to his right. 37 seconds and counting. There's 4 seconds lost already as they're evaluating the situation. No urgency, though, from Brandon as he looks inside and he presses that hole again. And Jacoby looks like he's hurtling over people as he crosses the 25-yard line. And that's going to be fortunate, because if he was a half yard short, that clock would have kept going a little more quickly. And right now it's going to stop. My apologies. Under 3 minutes, the rules change just a little bit. Until they set the ball, the clock's always going to stop. But either way, now it's wound back in, and you get a whistle here, another whistle. So the clock stopped again, and I'm not sure why. The chain crew. You always got to wait for these. There's several officials on the field, and the minor officials in count too. They got to get these chains. That's a fortunate break for the Fratmen if they can take advantage of it, meaning they snap right on the whistle. You can get maybe 2 or 3 plays off if this is quick. And it's been blown in, but the clock, there it goes, finally starts. And no urgency again. Graham looks for the snap, quick hitch to the right, gets the ball in Cooper's hands. Cooper works up the right side, and he has something going on here, and he might get all the way in. and instead he is pushed out of bounds, and it looks like he is going to be at around the 5-yard line. And did I see another flag fly? I did. So here we go, quick little hitch. Jumps inside, makes a guy miss, and then gets around the right sideline. And some good blocking up the field here. So we get the push out of bounds, and there's the late hit. So that's probably what it was. He was out of bounds already, and he got to the other side of the cone. This ball's going to the 1-yard line. And that is indeed the case.
Silly roughness, hitting out of bounds, unrestricted. Ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. First and goal.
And the clock stops because of the penalty. And it looks like Ottawa has used the timeout because I see water being run on. So the only way water can be brought on is in a timeout situation. And we know the Fratmen have used both of theirs already. So that our game announcer here has said to the stadium crowd that we have a timeout from Ottawa. 3.8 seconds. No timeouts. You're up by 20. Ball's at the 1-yard line. If it's a run, it's your last play, unquestionably. If you throw a quick slant, a quick back shoulder fade right at the cone, you might get a second play. You might. It just depends how trigger happy the game clock operator is up in the booth. But a lot will have to happen if they need a second play. Now, of course, the half can't end on the defensive penalty. So you can always have an untimed down after this. And if you watch the Thursday night football game in the NFL, my goodness, that last play, there was an untimed down after untimed down. Here we go. Riem under center. The bigs are there. He looks to wedge forward, and that's indeed what he does. And it looks like he knifed forward in for the touchdown. That's easy. You got all-star linemen. You just get behind your guys, and all you got to do is break that plane just by a nose. And from my camera angle here, it looked like he got it. So that's Brandon Riem got the touchdown. That's going to extend the lead, and Brandon also going to serve as the holder as Beaton comes in. So we'll see if we get a replay of that. But that was a 1-yard plunge, and he just laid on the backs of his linemen and just realized, I just got to fall forward now. Your long snapper is Dante Fornasario, number 19, just a little guy, but as long as the snap is clean, which it is, the hold is down, the kick is up, and the kick is good. That being your last play of the half, and that is a 35-8 lead as you see Brandon Riem coming off the sideline after he wedges forward. What a series of mistakes for the Sooners. Penalties, stopping the clock, giving them time to extend that. And we here at WeTV are proud to present Ontario Football Conference as it is a halftime score of 35-8 as we are going to fall into our halftime break and send it for commercial. Thank you for watching Ontario Football Conference play.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
It's new, it's fresh, it's innovative, it's WeTV, Windsor Essex Television, and you can watch it anywhere. www.we-tv.ca is the place to be. If it's sports, entertainment, or community events, WeTV has what you're looking for. The people, places, and faces of our community are front and center on WeTV. Check out www.we-tv.ca for what's being webcast live. WeTV, we got you covered.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory. It's not book work anymore.
I choose to take control of my future and my path to St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
35-8 is the score at halftime. Fratmen over the Sooners. I'm Aaron Sanders here at halftime, joined by the coach of the Ottawa Sooners, Paul Deeks. And Paul, it looked like on the field there was a lot of disciplinary issues that you guys have to take care of. What do you have to tighten up on, first of all?
You just said it. You know, we're playing a lot of undisciplined football. We're working really hard and then kicking ourselves right in the butts. You know, every time we take a step forward, we take 10 back with these undisciplined penalties. We had a real good week of practice. We were sound. We made sure we knew to play smart, and we got to correct this at the halftime. You know, there's still 2 quarters left. I know the guys won't give up. We're going to fight. We're going to fight hard. But yeah, you can't make silly mistakes like this against a very strong Windsor team.
And on the bright side, though, you guys limited the Fratmen to 35 points or less. Nobody hasn't done that since the Hurricanes did it almost more than a month and a half ago. What do you got to do to limit their scoring going on in the second half?
Again, you know, I think we did a good job containing Riom, their quarterback. He's got a few scrambles, but I think we were okay with there. Again, just making sure that everyone does their job, they maintain their gap responsibility. We got to come down harder a little bit more versus their hitch passes and their outside zone runs. But again, I feel it had to do overall more with the way the entire team's playing on specials, offense and defense. So hopefully we can all improve in the second half and make this a close game.
So would you believe this could all come down to a running game possibly?
I think if anything, defensively, they're going to try to for Windsor, they're going to definitely try to run. We're gonna have to stop that run, force them to pass again, like we were doing earlier when we were successful. But I think with our offense, we're gonna have to up the tempo and just gain yards chunk by chunk.
And all the best to you, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Paul Deeks, the head coach of the Ottawa Sooners, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
It's new, it's fresh, it's innovative, it's WeTV, Windsor Essex Television, and you can watch it anywhere. www.we-tv.ca is the place to be. If it's sports, entertainment, or community events, WeTV has what you're looking for. The people, places, and faces of our community are front and center on WeTV. Check out www.we-tv.ca for what's being webcast live. WeTV, we got you covered.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory. It's not book work anymore.
I choose to take control of my future, and my path is St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Baron Championship rings. This is who we are.
We know you're going to the same gym, and we know you're expecting different results.
This is your invitation to visit Club Attitude, Windsor's best-kept training secret. Individual, custom-designed fitness, specifically tailored for you. Clean, modern, well-equipped studio. Body, mind, and soul. Come on, make that change. It won't be scary.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
It's new, it's fresh, it's innovative. It's WeTV, Windsor Essex Television, and you can watch it anywhere. www.we-tv.ca is the place to be. If it's sports, entertainment, or community events, WeTV has what you're looking for. The people, places, and faces of our community are front and center on WeTV. Check out www.we-tv.ca for what's being webcast live. WeTV, we got you covered.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory, it's not book work anymore.
I choose to take control of my future and my path to St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Baron Championship rings. This is who we are.
Welcome back down here to Alumni Field for the OFC semifinal round right here. I have Mike LaChance, the coach of the Windsor Fratmen, and I said the same thing to Coach over there for Ottawa. A lot of discipline problems over there. What is the key to tightening all this up when it comes down to the second half?
We didn't really have much issues with that. They had a bunch of 15-yarders and some 10-yarders mixed in there, but our group's pretty disciplined right now, and I don't think we're clicking on all cylinders offensively, but defensively we're playing pretty well.
There was a pretty nice pass from Brandon Reham all the way to D'Angelo Knox early on in the first quarter, and that really spurred on a great sense of confidence into this team. How do you condense all that, and how you regain composure to make sure you guys realize that there's 2 more quarters to go and you can't take anything for granted?
You know what? It's I talked to the starters leading up into this game. Our starters haven't played a second half in a while. We've been up so big at halftime, we've been taking starters out, so I don't think they've played a second half since the Hamilton game midway through the season. They'll have to tighten it up, and hopefully we play a little bit better, a little bit tighter in the second half with our offense.
And this is a big game, like you said, because nobody has limited you to either 35 points or less in a half since Hamilton more than a month and a half ago. So when it comes down to like that, how do you make sure you keep Ottawa off their game defensively? Because once again, when it comes to Ottawa, they're really trying to get into those rushing yards, and that could become a problem right in an instant.
Yeah, you know what? They're trying to limit the run. They're really stacking the box. We've got to do a good job of controlling the line of scrimmage. We won't give up on the run. We're still going to run the ball. I think we did that effectively at the end of the half. But we've got to mix in some play action pass, and Brandon's got to hit some guys over the top, and he's done that a couple times in the first half.
And we'll see how all of this unfolds in the second half. Good luck to you, Coach.
Thanks.
Mike LaChance, coach of the Windsor AKO Fratmen, and when we return, we'll have more action right here. Once again, this is the OFC semifinals right here on we-tv.ca.
We know you're going to the same gym, and we know you're expecting different results.
This is your invitation to visit Club Attitude, Windsor's best kept training secret. Individual custom designed fitness specifically tailored for you. Clean, modern, well-equipped studio. Body, mind, and soul. Come on, make that change. It won't be scary.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
It's new, it's fresh, it's innovative. It's WeTV, Windsor Essex Television, and you can watch it anywhere. www.we-tv.ca is the place to be. If it's sports, entertainment, or community events, WeTV has what you're looking for. The people, places, and faces of our community are front and center on WeTV. Check out www.we-tv.ca for what's being webcast live. WeTV, we got you covered.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory, it's not book work anymore.
I choose to take control of my future and my path to St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Baron Championship rings. This is who we are.
And welcome back to Windsor, Ontario for Ontario Football Conference play here on we-tv.ca. As you see, a view of the field, and then right now that's Coach LaChance on the left in the gray and Coach Morency in the black and khakis, as we're about to start the third quarter of the Ontario Football Conference semifinal matchup between the home Windsor Fratmen and the Ottawa Sooners. And as you can see on the score, the Fratmen are up by 27 points with a 35-8 lead. And barring anything crazy, you are going to see the Windsor Fratmen hosting the Hamilton Hurricanes next week in the Ontario Football Conference final, as Hamilton won earlier today over at Tim Hortons Field as they defeated the London Beefeaters 44-7. That said, a little insight as to what will move forward beyond. The Ontario Football Conference this year has returned to the CJFL. And by returning to the CJFL, that means they can contest the national championship once again. And it's been a number of years, but they reduced the age limit back to 22, which means they're now back in the CJFL. And this year, the way the cycle goes, as it turns out, the first year back in the CJFL, the Ontario Football Conference is the host association. So the winner of next week's Ontario Football Conference final, which will definitely have Hamilton in it, against the winner of this game, will subsequently host the Canadian Bowl. And I believe that is on November 11th. I believe Remembrance Day falls on a Saturday, and that would be the day for the national championship in the CJFL. And the Fratmen are set to take the second half kickoff, as Cole Cressette has the ball set on the left hash. High kick. Gets caught up a little bit in the wind as it's fielded at the 20-yard line. It looks like it's Trinier. He goes right up the middle and then works his way up the left sideline. Looks like he has something going up the left sideline. Crosses midfield. Gets his way to the 52-yard line before he is pushed out of bounds. And that is a great return. It's one of the reasons why I highly recommend you don't kick the ball down the middle of the field in Canada. It's so wide, because if the return man is able to get a seam up the middle for the first 10 yards, and then people start crashing down, once a seam out the left happens, or out to either side for that matter, a good return man has that kind of vision, and he sees that. So that means the Fratmen are going to have great field position to start this third quarter. And one good drive here could pretty much set the tone and pretty much give the Fratmen a chance to start rolling some extra bodies early in this half and try to stay as healthy as possible moving into the Ontario Football Conference final. Again, it is Jacoby Jones, the feature back right now, as D'Angelo Knox is a little banged up, and we're not going to know if we're going to see his return. But Jacoby, as you can see, is more than capable of handling the workload as he works his way up the left sideline, crossing the 50-yard line into the Ottawa territory, and it looks like it's going to be about a second down and maybe one. Maybe. I say maybe because it looks like it's a little inside the 1 yard. So here we go. Brandon Ariam. Again, I'm floored. I'm puzzled. I don't understand how someone who I thought was a shoo-in for an All-Canadian nod in the CJFL at quarterback is not even the conference quarterback of the year, the conference player of the year. But he's having a hell of a game today right now as he fakes inside, goes up the seam, has his intended receiver, and that looks like that is number 7. Excuse me, that is number 12. Once again, that is Devin Woods, the all-star receiver, and he goes up and he catches it as he looked like a little bit of a headshot. He's shaking off some of the cobwebs. I'm not sure if they're going to pull him out of the game and take a closer look at him, but boy, he went up and got it and got licked, but he's having one heck of a game right now. He's got to be well over 100 yards now receiving, as he is earning every ounce of the accolades that went his way as the all-star receiver this year. He also had 7 touchdowns, but so did his counterpart, Omar Hayes-Williams. Here we go. Jacoby Jones gets inside, follows his lead block on that little ISO, presses the hole, works his way back after a couple spin moves, and gets himself just at about the 10-yard line. We'll see where the spot's going to be and if that's going to give him a first down or it's going to be second and short. And that second and short's going to give the Fratmen a chance to reset the chains and get in an and goal situation here. The fullback right now is Mitch Damchuk. Again, D'Angelo Knox, the league's leading rusher, is out right now. Riam looks right. He's going to throw that high, looks like it, just a comeback route to his intended receiver, and that's Omar Hayes-Williams, and just the timing's off. Long throw from the left hash all the way to the right sideline. I don't know if Omar slipped coming out of his break. He's usually one of the most reliable route runners, I should say. But the Fratmen took a gamble, thinking that might as well take a shot. We're going for it on third down anyway. With this big of a lead, you're going to keep them pinned deep anyway if you don't get it. And you expect to get a third in less than a yard anyway. So Brandon Ram walks up, not under center, but in his pistol set. Takes a snap, looks left again, tries to hit a slanting. Looks like that's number 14, Marcus Cooper, and a little short arm throw there and incomplete pass. No surprise. I thought they would just make sure they get the first down and then put one in right now and end it. That was 2 peculiar calls. One I could see doing once, but 2 in a row when you need a half yard and you have 2 all-star linemen and you have more than capable running backs. Little surprising that they didn't just get that first down and keep their offense on the field. So the Sooners, they're going to be stretching the field. And I bet you're going to see probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 shots down the field to Malcolm Carter, the big, tall, rangy, athletic receiver. Right now, it looks like from my angle, he has some rotated coverage to his side as they go inside on a run. Little bit of a seam for the running back, and that looks like it was number 26, Vincent McDonald. And Vincent McDonald does find his way up the seam after a missed tackle. Right between the hash marks, he stayed there, and then he gets brought down at around the 24-yard line. That's number 1 who's on a knee right now, and that is Enzo Trunza. Talented return man, all-star receiver. Looks like he's nursing or favoring his left leg, left ankle, left knee. We saw him earlier go down, and it might just be something that's going to nag him the rest of the game. But if the score remains like this, he's going to have all offseason to figure that one out. Let's hope he returns, because you never want to finish on the sideline all taped up and in the infirmary section. You got Scott taking 4 receivers to his left. He's yelling instructions to his receivers. Bobbles the snap and tries to scramble out to the right and just throws that thing away. And if you didn't know, you don't even have to get outside the pocket. You just have to throw it past the line of scrimmage anywhere. No intended receiver needed or anything, and that is indeed what the case happened there. He took his eyes off. That was a decent snap. My rule for centers is always simple: waist to face. That's the target. That ball was right in his face mask. He should have caught that. Maybe it was a little hot, but he's used to handling the ball. He needs to catch that cleanly. Fortunately for him, it took a decent enough bounce where he didn't lose yardage on it, as it brings up a 2nd down and 10. Looks left, stays left, goes over the left seam. Does have a receiver this time, and that's number 18. And that is Tarai Hibbert, who catches the ball. And he's approaching midfield as it gets to the 51-yard line. I'm shocked there wasn't a little more rotation over from the safety, simply because quarterback looked and stayed left the entire time. And usually when that happens, especially over the middle of the field, safeties just eyeball you. And if you don't use any kind of influence and any kind of eye discipline to move them, they pick you off. But the Fratmen are all up near the line of scrimmage right now, so that's just straight zero to me. They're just saying, we're going to not let you run the ball, but they do pick up about 4 yards there. And that is number 13. Again, I'm pretty confident that John Paul Semenkinda was their leading rusher last year. I don't think he was their primary ball carrier most of the year, but he did. I've called his name for a couple years now here on we-tv.ca. 3 receivers to the quarterback's right. Scott looks right, stays right, throws the out to the right, and that's his number 18. Once again, Hibbert catches the ball, and he picks up about 5 yards. They need 2 more. You're down this much. You're on the plus side of the field. My guess is you're going to go for it. You need about 1.5 yards. You hope to get it. It's a short 2 or a long yard, whichever way you want to look at it. But either way, they need to cross the 49-yard line. And here's a great look at it from down the line of scrimmage. Oh, bobble snap. Unbelievable. Semenkinda did not realize that it was on a touch. It just looked like the center snap. As soon as his hand touched the rear end, that ball hit right off his fingertips and fell right down. And there's the penalty, or there's a turnover on downs. What a big mistake. What a big mistake for the Sooners after they get that gifted stop. They really did get a gifted stop as the Fratmen went 2 passes on 3rd down and inches and turned the ball over on downs themselves. They missed this opportunity, and they're just trying to wedge forward. You cannot make a comeback. You cannot make a big comeback with any type of mistakes, and that's a mistake. All right, and this is the first sighting of D'Angelo Knox since he got injured, and doesn't look injured there as they ran a little counter, and he managed to squirt his way through and pick up about 15 yards on that run. So that's the first sighting of D'Angelo Knox since, and I'm pretty sure it was in the first quarter, late in the first quarter, maybe early second quarter, as the offensive line breaks. You got big DeMarcus Ware, all conference lineman, two or 3 years in a row, number 50 at the right guard. Brandon Ream has a clean pocket to step into. He has his old school receiver, his longtime friend over at Massey, and he is just knifing forward, and that's Omar Hayes-Williams, who drags receivers all the way down to the 3-yard line. And that is just a nice reroute. He came back, fought for the ball, caught the ball, and these two have been making plays now for as many as 10 years, dating back to their days at Massey. Just a go route. And nice readjustment back to the inside. He capped the ball at around the 15-yard line, but he just kept driving forward, carrying defenders all the way to the 3-yard line, and that's your end goal situation right now. Back to live action, Jacoby Jones trying to knife his way forward, and this time by pressing the hole. Sometimes in goal line, the quarters get real tight, and here's where maybe his size is a little bit of a detriment. He's a little smaller, and he just ran into a wall there. But boy, is he pressing that hole. He just ran into it full steam ahead. You're going to bring up a 2nd down and goal at around the 2-yard line. All right, here comes Ram into the huddle. And under center, looks like they're going to wedge, and that is indeed the case. And you get Brandon Ream, who walks forward into the end zone for another touchdown. And I just think that this is just a staple game for Brandon. They just got the news this week that he was not even recognized as an all-star. And he's pretty much accounted for everything. This is their 7th touchdown of the game. One was on the defensive side, but they have 5 touchdowns. He's run for 2 of them. And I believe he has thrown for 2 more to Devin Woods. So he's accounting for all their points. He's a tremendous athlete. And in the 1 year that he comes off from the bench and he just plays phenomenal, it's flabbergasting that it wasn't necessarily just even recognized as an all-star for that matter. We got a flag on the play. So we're going to see, is it going to be put on the kickoff? It looks like it was before the snap anyway. And we have a legal procedure against the offense. So they're going to try to convert again. It was a dead ball foul, so it's like the snap never even happened. And a big number 50, DeMarcus Ware, was in there, and he just sort of waved, that was me. So I'm guessing he just rolled out of his stance on the whistle rather than wait to see that ball snapped and moved. Good snap, good hold, good kick. And that extends the lead to 42-8. And that 5-yard penalty will be on the kickoff, and you're going to see Andrew Bean kick off from the 40 rather than the 45 here. So that was Brandon Riem just talking to his old high school teammate, now his 4-year teammate here at AKO, Omar Hayes Williams, and he's just getting congratulations from all these guys. At this point, it'll give me a chance to recognize all the all-stars here for the home Fratmen. Devin Woods on offense was at receiver. D'Angelo Knox was the running back. You have Mustafa Mehri and DeMarcus Ware on the offensive line recognized. Jacob Benson was a defensive all-star. Your defensive lineman of the year and your defensive player of the year was Adam Slickbore, number 99, who you saw line up at tight end, and he's at tremendous amount of reps. And I already referenced that Elijah Blythe was your all-star defensive back, and he's already shown that as he has a pick 6, and he has had blanket coverage all day long against whoever he was lined up against. And one last award winner, and he doesn't really necessarily want the recognition. He would rather it go to his players, but major award winner is Coach Mike LaChance, as he was once again nominated the Ontario Football Conference Coach of the Year. And a little squib kick, and that's the Sooners looked like it was number 54, and that is Nicholas Georges, an all-star linebacker who was probably in an up-back position there on the return, maybe part of the wedge, picking the ball off the ground as it bounced around, and he crosses the 40-yard line all the way to the 42-yard line. With about 6 minutes left in this third quarter here, the Sooners now, obviously, every bounce has to be perfect in their direction. They need help from the Fratmen. Fratmen have to make some mistakes. The Sooners have to get big plays, and they have to get big strikes. Right now, a long 6-minute quarter-ending drive for 55, 65 yards is useless, as they run the little delay draw inside, and that is number 13, Simonkaina again, who gets his way across the midfield. But we have a flag on the field, and it was thrown again from the side. So we're going to get this call here from Mr. McDonald. It looks like it is an offsides against the Sooners, as you can
5
see.
yards!
Just the entire group
15.
walking backwards. So that negates a big long run. That's going to put it 1st and 15, as the ball is going to be marched back to their 37-yard line. I just come off saying you can't have any more mistakes, and you get about a 16-yard run, a first down run, and you get an offside. An offside by a receiver who really didn't influence the play. 4 receivers to Scott's right. They go back to that inside run again. And even though he has a decent run of 4.5 yards, it's 1st and 15. That penalty puts you in a pickle. That pickle means it's going to be 2nd down and long right now. At this point in time, if I'm Coach LaChance and the rest of the Fratmen staff, I'm going to be telling our guys, keep your cool in every single circumstance. Right now, you have everything to lose if you're ejected from this game. So you have to make sure you don't get any objectionable conduct. You make sure you don't throw any punches. You make sure you don't say a word. And we got a deep over the top throw. It looks like he has an open receiver, and he just missed his target. That's number 22, Dylan Kazda. And it looked like he just had a little bit of an out and up out the right sideline, and the Fratmen defense got surprised by that. And that's a missed opportunity, as they could have had a walk-in touchdown. It looked like he was going stride for stride up that sideline. And if they would have completed that, that's exactly what they needed, that big strike play. And that's going to bring up a third down and long situation, as Crissette's going to have to come back in and punt again. And he's had a good day punting for the most part. High snap, has to handle it. No pressure again from the Fratmen as they've set up the return. And the return has been quite good here. And there's Trinier once again, and he gets straight forward, and that is awesome. If you are a coach, if you're a young coach, if you're new to this game, and you are going to try to teach return, teach them to go forward. Their first 10 strides, go get a first down. And if anything else comes after that, it's a bonus. That is awesome. You get a kick. That kick was between the numbers and the sideline. That's exactly where you want to pin a guy. The coverage was just not there. And because Trinier was able to go forward, he crosses midfield, and the Fratmen have great field position here as they're set up at the 52-yard line going in. D'Angelo knocks back in the backfield with Damchuk this time as his fullback. High snap, fake the run. They're going to throw that little slip screen, and they get that ball all the way to the outside, and that looked like it was McCraney who got stripped of the ball from behind, and that is the fumble. That was number 27, Brendan McCraney, who is a quick little ball carrier, and usually when he's in open space, he can make a lot of guys miss, but they fake the run, they get in McCraney's hand, he has room to work, and as soon as he starts going, he gets that ball loose away from his body. And me as a coach, I have a personal preference, especially when you're on the left side of the field. Get that ball in the left hand, because all the pursuit's coming from the inside. That ball was in the right hand. The linebacker pursues from the inside. That's a strip. That strip fell right into the hands of the Sooners defender. That defender was able to pick it up and carry it forward to the 50-yard line, and immediately they get that turnover. Now, can they get a big strike out of that? If you're the Sooners, that's what you need. You can't have a long drive. You have 4:13 left in this third quarter, so you have just over 19 minutes left in your season, and you have to come up with some sort of miracle play. You got one mistake from the Fratmen. Can you capitalize? All right, they do a little pitch out of the pistol. And with a bigger back like that, I don't see the value in that. He's a downhill runner. And when something kind of gets going sideways, I think it takes away some of his strength. And that just ends up being a 2-yard loss and a wasted play. All that is wasted time and wasted play. It's not like you're padding stats here. It's not like you're going for a rushing title. It's not like you're going for anything that's going to put you over the top. All that stuff's done. You're now playing for your playoff lives. You gotta get a little more creative than a play like that. Quarterback looks to his right, throws the deep out. He does have his intended target, and that was Malcolm Carter. It looked like if Malcolm Carter would have just squatted and sat right there at the point of it, where he caught the ball, he might very well have been closer to the first down. But under his own power, he came back and reestablished himself, and he's about 2 yards short right now, and it's a third down. Here you'll see on the replay, he does the little comeback route, and then he clearly comes back on his own. So I think that's a pretty good spot by the official, and that looked like that was Chris Patton who had his eyes right down the line there and made the right call, and that's going to bring up a third down and 2. And they're going over the top. They got an open receiver, and they just missed it. They just missed it. That was the all-star Enzo Trunzo, and they just missed it. Elijah Blythe did actually get turned around on that play. He might have been sneaking in his eyes in the backfield expecting a run, and they got away with it. And when I say they, I mean the Fratmen, because I think that was a missed opportunity. Tyler Scott just threw that way too far to the outside. And after about 2 minutes, all that has happened since the fumble and exchange of downs is time. That's the only thing that's went, time. Nothing else has gone other than time off the clock. quick hitch to Devin Woods. Devin Woods can make one guy miss. He does exactly that. Gets up the right sideline, crosses the 50-yard line into the Sooners zone, and that's going to put them at around the 49-yard line. And that is just a speedy, tall, athletic receiver making a guy miss and picking up the first down. Or I thought he was a little closer to that, but it's 2nd down and 1. As you can see on the clock, you have about 2 minutes left in this quarter here. 42-8 for the Fratmen. And we here at we-tv.ca are the proud providers of Ontario Football Conference playoffs. Brandon Riem looks left, doesn't like what he sees, tucks the ball under, comes to the realization that he can get the first down, and then works his way out of bounds, gets the first down. Smart. Earlier in the year, I remember calling a game, and afterwards I talked to Brandon. I said, Brandon, who's your backup? And Brandon didn't really have an answer, and I just said, you got to protect yourself. You're a smart guy. His eyes are downfield. He could have thrown if he had something, but he realized, let's just get out of bounds, and he does indeed do that. He doesn't need to take any kind of extra hits. He's gotten so much better at that. He understands where he sits, because he also had almost 200 yards rushing this year and 7 touchdowns on the ground. That's what floors me. Yeah, I sound like a broken record, so if you're out in Ottawa or if you're somewhere else, with all due respect to Malcolm Carter, he is all of it. He is one of the best receivers in the league, and I will give him credit for that, as our picture shows Isaiah Belanger getting tended to by Sean Haskett. But the stat line on Brandon is unbelievable. In 6 Ontario Football Conference games, he did not get the 7th one, as one team forfeited a game. He ends up with 177 yards rushing, 7 rushing touchdowns, 1,580 passing yards, 20 passing touchdowns against just 2 interceptions, 69% completion, and 143.1 rating, which is tops in the entire CJFL. He's not even the conference quarterback of the year. I'm floored. All right, quick little hitch back to the outside, and this looks like it is number 1. Oh, excuse me, it's number 6. I was going to say number 1, that's Brandon's number. Can't throw it to himself, but that's D'Angelo Knox who made the catch out in the flat. This is a quick little slot hitch, trying to get him in space, making a guy miss, and he picks up about 5 yards, half the distance to go. He is hard to bring down. He's been like that all year long. He's been a very physical back this year. And that's one of the things the coaches have really said he's improved on, that he's been lowering his shoulder and he's been getting after people. And by getting after people, he's been delivering the blow, which if you're a running back, you always want to deliver rather than take that. Little high snap. Brandon looks left, decides I'm going to just scramble. He pump fakes, gets out the left side, takes on one of the defenders. And again, I might not want to take him on with my throwing shoulder, because he lowered his right shoulder, but he's tough as nails. That's a competitor in him. And from the sideline mark, it looks like he is inches. He is just short. And there's the sideline for the Sooners. Some of the players talking, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're seeing. And they're at their wits right now. They can't really do much. 3rd and inches, Riem's under center here. And it looks like he wedges off the left sideline. He pushes forward, and he does indeed have the first down. It was a good surge by the offensive line. They just pushed that whole pile forward, and that's going to reset the chains, which we should have saw on the very first drive. They were 2nd down and inches at the 9-yard line going in, and they threw 2 passes and turned it over on downs. And as we get into the last play of this 3rd quarter here, I would like to not see Brandon Riem take another hit. You're not going to lose this game. So if you're going to wedge with D'Angelo. If you're going to go for it on 3rd and short from now, you're not likely going to lose this game. Do it with somebody else. Do not let Brandon Riem get another shot. Max Pro the entire game if you are going to throw. High snap, they do a little bit of a boot. He's on the scramble now, and just throw it away, Brandon. Throw it away. That's exactly what you have to do. Throw it away. And that's a new rule this year in the league. Prior to this year, unlike what you might be familiar with in the NFL, when a quarterback gets out of the pocket, he can throw it away. It's not the case here in Canada, and now we do have it at all levels of football. The quarterback, all he has to do is get the ball past the line of scrimmage, which player safety-wise, if you can just get that away, especially on something like that where it's a broken play, protect the quarterback from having to take a hit or think that he has to hurt his team by taking a penalty. Get it done. As you see on our screen, we have a 42-8 lead here for the Fratmen at the end of the third quarter, and we're going to take a quick commercial break.
We know you're going to the same gym, and we know you're expecting different results.
This is your invitation to visit Club Attitude, Windsor's best kept training secret. Individual custom designed fitness specifically tailored for you. Clean, modern, well-equipped studio. Body, mind, and soul. Come on, make that change. It won't be scary.
And welcome back to Windsor, Ontario, here for Ontario Football Conference play on we-tv.ca as the Fratmen start the third quarter with a pretty big lead, 42-8, and they are in the scoring zone. I consider in Canada the 30-yard line in the scoring zone. That's what we got, because you can even kick a single. And there's points. There you go. Brandon Ram looks, fakes inside, gets the ball out to his receiver, and that's Devin Woods, who once again catches the ball as he's working up the left sideline, and it looked like it might have been a head tackle. It looked like he got pulled and wrapped around the head or neck, but no flag this time around, as we're going to get a second down. Oh, excuse me, it's going to be a third down and about 5. That protection was a little loose there because I saw some heat coming on Brandon. He didn't necessarily take a hit, but I really would like to see some max protection, making sure that he doesn't get any extra shots here. And a timeout looks like it's going to be called. Brandon probably just didn't like what he saw, so he's opting to do the smart thing. You're hoping not to need those timeouts on a score like this, so you might as well get the right play call here. So Coach LaChance is looking down at his call sheet with Brandon. Okay, what do you like? What do you see? What are you seeing? These are all exercises that down as the season goes on, you guys have to be on the same page. It's something you don't actually do in practice, but you should. Situational plays. I've been to enough coaching clinics and camps across Canada and the United States, and one of the things they do is they do exercises like that. They will put down distance situational plays, and if they have to call a timeout because the play clock's winding down, they call the timeout, go talk to the coordinator and do those kind of things. So it's imperative that they make sure every time they do have to use a timeout, it's for a positive result afterwards. Here we go. Third down and 6. No kicking, no field goal. Backfield empties. He's going to sprint out to his right. He's going to throw over top, which just gets rid of the ball. He's going for his big receiver, and his big receiver drops it. And this time it looked like he let it get to his belly rather than going up with his hands. Now, I did think his right hand may have been hooked. So let's see here on the replay if my eyes saw it. And it looked like his right hand was hooked just a little bit, but that's just ball fighting. I am more than comfortable with the flag not being thrown there. Both competitors fought for it. Both competitors had a chance to make a play on the ball. Devin is probably more disappointed in himself that he didn't come down with it. I don't mind the play call because that secures that Brandon does not get hit. It was a quick 3-step pop to the outside. As we approach the 14-minute mark in this final quarter, we get an off-tackle run, and Simon kind of is just bottled up. Looks like it's about a yard loss. Well, moving forward, I'm pretty confident in saying that we're going to have an Ontario Football Conference final here against the Hamilton Hurricanes. That has been the premier matchup in the Ontario Football Conference now for probably about 6 years between Ottawa and Windsor. Ottawa and Windsor, those are your conference champions the last 4, 5, 6 years. And it's no surprise that it's those two in there. As you see Tyler Scott get over the middle, and he's throwing to his little receiver, Trunza. And that's Blythe again, and that's your all-star Elijah had his hand on it, and if it wasn't for that last shove, and you'll see here, Trunzo becomes a defensive back. That last shove saved the interception, because my guess is he probably would have came down with that. Good on Trunzo recognizing that he has to now play defense in that case, trying to at least stay competitive, because pretty much the game's not in question anymore. And you're going to get Chrisette coming out. This has been a good part of the Fratmen's game plan all day. They've returned well. They have not brought any pressure. They've set a return. Once again, here's the return set. Low driving kick, and it drives, it looks like that's number 3, Ishmael Johnson back, but he does corral it in the air, gets about 12 yards on the return as he crosses midfield. Real tough catch. That was an over-the-shoulder baseball catch that Ishmael Johnson just made, and that gives the Fratmen some pretty good field position. And I do see a couple new bodies, at least on the offensive line in. So you're going to try to save some of the legs. And pretty sure Big DeMarcus Ware just went to the sideline and said, I'm going to change right now. Let me know how this game finishes, because he is just a load. He plays a physical game. So I don't see him on the field. So he's out probably. He's the right guard. But like I said, they don't have another running back, or excuse me, quarterback. Their backup quarterback is D'Angelo. So they're just going to turn and they hand the ball off to D'Angelo. Oh, D'Angelo tried to make a quick little speed cut and he just lost his foot. And that is going to bring up a second down and long. And you'll see right here, he's trying to plant and speed cut to his left. But his weight, his feet got so far forward, but his weight got so much backwards that he just fell. There's no question about that. He just was going a little too quick to make that speed cut. Jacoby Jones back in with Damchuk at the fullback. Riem looking, he gets that ball. I think it slipped out of his hand. That's maybe the old tuck rule. He was looking to throw that ball deep, and he's barking. He's telling somebody, he's saying, hey, all right, go. You can just read as a go. Why aren't you going? I'm about to give you a shot to walk into this end zone. Go. There we go. Just go. He goes, Benji, come on, man. I know you got this. You got this. Trust me. I trust you. Go. He's pointing out directions. And for any young football player, I'll give you a little bit of a background story about Brandon. He's been a career backup here at AKO for the last 3 years. I mean, you have Austin Lumley here, who was an all-star quarterback, who led the team to championships. And there we get a block kick, a violently block kick backwards. And that ball is going to be scooped. And it looks like not quite scored, but he almost had a second special team here. I pretty much ignored the punt because I was like trying to tell you a story. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if I've ever seen a block ricochet that far back. I don't know if I've ever seen that. What a tremendous effort. That that defender came off the kicker's right edge, off the defensive's left, put his body in a perfect position. He could break his arm. Like here, you're going to see, you don't see the block, but you do see the attempted scoop. And, that's why you're an alignment number, and that's why you're a linebacker. And there's the bottled up action. And there's your all-star receiver, Enzo Trunzo, trying to get himself a matching scoop and score special teams touchdown like his other counterpart all-star teammate, Malcolm Carter, because the offense hasn't found the end zone yet. Either way, I think this game has been a statement. I think there's been a travesty of justice. I think Brandon Riem should have been the offensive player of the year, and clearly the quarterback, all-star, first-team all-star quarterback. And that's not to slight Malcolm Carter. He is a tremendous athlete, tremendous football player. Just didn't have the numbers to support it. And I can't change my eyes in what I've seen all season long. Either way, we are going to have a and goal situation as the Sooners look like they put a tight end on the field. And they're going to throw a jump ball to their big receiver. It looked like a little bit of a push-off. But the boxed-in end zone, that cutoff corner, looked like it ran out of room as the ball was over the tall frame of Malcolm Carter. But Blythe is just, he's saying, look, he can't push me. Whether that ball's over his head or not, he can't push me. That's what his question is. And you got all-star against all-star. That's just straight man. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take my big receiver and I'm going to take my quarterback and I'm going to try to match them up. This time they put Carter in the slot. And he works his way in. It's a straight pitch. And with the big back, they try to get the edge, and they actually get to the edge this time as he works his way up the right sideline and falls across the cone. And that is a touchdown for the Sooners. And here's another look at it as the ball gets easily stretched across before any of his body parts touched down. And that's going to make it a 42-14 score. Looks like the offense is on there. Why not? You need a lot of points. It's already considered converted. You got the Rouge earlier, so you might as well try to get 2 points here and maybe make some sort of miracle finish. Most of you, if you're watching this game, are a football fan to some extent. You probably watched the Super Bowl last year. Lord knows, anything can happen. It is a crazy game. Mistakes kill you. And you get Tyler Scott throwing to his all-star Trunzo. He had enough of a route into the end zone, but just didn't come up with it as there was contact. It was well defended by number 19, Dante Fornasario. 2-point conversion is no good. And now you can expect an onside kick. Now you can expect an onside kick. Why not? You have to. You got nothing else left. So it's a good exercise for the Fratmen. Get your hands team on. Maybe not everyone from your hands team on, but get a bunch of people from your hands team on and put yourself in a position and make certain that you do not give up field position. Get some practice here. All right, we have Crissette, the ball on his left hash. There is an overload to his right. He has 7 men to right of the ball. Oh, the whistle is in. The play clock is officially started. He looks to see, is everyone ready? They are. And they kick it deep. Deep right down the middle of the field. Deep down the middle, and once again, that's Trenier who corrals the ball in, and he gets to the 30-yard line. He gets to the 30-yard line, and that's where the Fratmen are going to scrimmage. Last couple plays, you did see some sportsmanship. You see guys just sort of patting themselves. That's good. So far, so good. There hasn't been any kind of chippiness or chirping. You never want to see that. I watched a game earlier today on this very field as the Lancers closed out their regular season, and there must have been a dozen objectionable conducts in that game. There was just a lot of chirpy play, a lot of talk. You never want to see that. Finish your season, play tough, leave it out on the field, execute the way you want to execute, especially if you know this might be your last career game. Don't put yourself in a position to get kicked out or to have that sour note. Go play football. It's supposed to be fun. It is still a game. Not many of you are ever going to get paid to play this game. Have fun. Inside handoff to Jacoby, who gets bottled up right away, but he just keeps driving his feet forward as we get a nice zoom-up look of him, and he pushes his way forward for about a 4-yard gain. But before that violent block, I was trying to explain about Brandon. He was a career backup. He waited his time. A lot of people don't have the patience for 3 years, and for 3 years, he played some slot receiver, took some backup reps at snap, did some punt returning. He held every single snap for every single PAT and field goal. And then he finally, when it was his time, and he learned, he knows this offense inside and out. He just didn't play in it every single week in terms of the quarterback position. He was dressed for every single game he was here. And what he ended up happening was he got his time, and he's making it pay right now. Now, you do see an Ottawa guy claiming that it's their ball and the Ottawa player has the ball in his hands, but forward progress was stopped. We did hear the whistle before anything was ripped out. That's going to bring up a 3rd down and short. They're going to bring the punt unit out. My guess is they want to bring the punt unit out to shore up some of that protection. They better get this hammered out because that was a crazy block. And my sources are telling me that it just was such a long time for the kicker. And both teams have been trying to set up a little bit of a return, so I've sensed that even both kickers might have been taken, but you got to get it off. Snap's going to be 1.5 seconds. You get 1, 2, 3 and kick it, and that wasn't even close. That was definitely kicked off as that's Trunzo catches the ball out at the 45-yard line, gets up that left sideline. Looks like he has something going for him before he's met at the 32-yard line, out of bounds, and that's where the Sooners are going to get their next opportunity to score. So, before I say it's over, a quick strike here puts it to a 3-score game. Now, I am a Detroit Lions fan. Yes, I'll say that. And last week I'm watching the game, and I'm a little disappointed that the game just was not going their way against New Orleans. And before I know it, they're right back in it. They're a 1-touchdown game, and it was just absolute chaos. So I even saw it last week. Just when I thought they were out of it, they came back in. They did end up losing, but you never know. A quick strike here. Throw it over the top. You got your big receiver to the left, and that's where I would be going. They throw it over the middle, and that's incomplete. And it does look like the Fratmen have bracketed Malcolm Carter. So they'll get somebody jamming him up, or at least getting in his path early, and then they'll rotate somebody over the top of that. But you never know. Coach Morency's always been an aggressive defensive play caller. Maybe he wants to dial up some pressure here. Maybe he sends some extra heat and says, listen, if you're going to make it, you're going to make it by getting hit, though. You're going to have to stand in that pocket and take a shot. We'll sprint out to the right, throws it out. Don't know if I like that route or that decision or that play call. I don't want to throw it for 5 yards. I would rather just take my shot. You got a 3rd down coming here. Here we go. Quick sprint out. And that was the 1st down play, actually. That wasn't the sprint out, so that was the one over the middle. And that was incomplete. So here we go, 3rd down. If there's any life in the Sooners, any chance, they have to convert this. They have no choice. The clock is not in their favor. Well, this is taking a lot of time. High snap out to his right, a little bit of heat off the right edge, but he does break free, and this is the one thing we haven't seen him do, but it looks like Tyler Scott is going to be just short of the line to gain, and that's going to probably be a turnover on downs. And that is indeed the case. He was about 1.5 yards short. He had some immediate pressure from number 55, and that was Alex Valahora, D lineman, D end, coming to his backside, forced him to step up into the pocket, and he couldn't really reset after that. He saw a little bit of a gap, and I'm pretty confident the Fratmen were not spying him. He is not your classic running quarterback. He is a pocket passer, and they were just fine with him taking 7, 8, 9 steps. Coming up short. Here we go, Brandon Riem back in. Little confusion. And you got 3, 4 new receivers out on the field, and they don't know where they're supposed to line up. So they're just looking at themselves and saying, well, where do we go? Who am I supposed to be at? So Fratmen just called their timeout. They're going to get this thing squared away. So they went from their big group, because Devin Woods is a tall receiver, and so is Omar Hayes-Williams. You have some taller bodies in there, and then they replace a couple of them. And Marcus Cooper is a smaller receiver, shifty. Brandon McCraney is small, but he in open space, he makes some guys miss. We did see him fumble earlier. So I wouldn't be surprised if you got that quick hitch back to Brandon McCraney, maybe give him a little bit of confidence, make up for that fumble earlier. But either way, it just, you got to protect Brandon Riem right now. That's your only concern. You do see D'Angelo Knox back in, and you do see Jacoby Jones. He is your offset fullback to the quarterback's right once we get back to the line of scrimmage for field of play, as you see Coach Morency talking to the players. D'Angelo leaves. They look like they're running a little combination route, the wheel behind it to D'Angelo, and D'Angelo does catch it, keeps his balance, and crosses midfield. And D'Angelo ran that straight out of the backfield. He just started running. They run, it almost looked like triple slant. All three receivers broke to the inside, and they just had D'Angelo on the wheel. He just outraced number 2. And that number 2 is Connor Newcomb. Maybe, just maybe, this is Coach LaChance's chance to say, guys, you guys messed up. Brandon Ram's the best quarterback, the best player in our league. And if you guys didn't think so, I'm going to give you some more tape to see that. You don't know why he's throwing this much, but they're empty right now, and he's back again. He's clean. He's got his receiver in the slot, but he undershot him. And by that undershot, that results into an interception here, which is going to muddy the stat line just a little bit. It's going to muddy that stat line just a little bit. Here you see Brandon, and he didn't get enough air on it. Just didn't get enough. Not to mention, there was over coverage. There was a safety behind it. So the corner, he had every opportunity to come back off underneath that, and that was intercepted by number 15, Tarek Velson. And that's going to give the Sooners a first down at the 43-yard line. But I will say this, now that we're pretty confident that the game's going to be back here in Windsor, we-tv.ca are going to be the proud providers of Ontario Football Conference final action next week sometime. You can always check the website as they run a little inside running play, this little delay to number 26, Vincent McDonald, and he picks up about 6-7 yards. And they will be playing host to the Hamilton Hurricanes, who, as I mentioned earlier, were 44-7 winners over London earlier today. Scott looks into the inside seam for his number 3 receiver, who just does a simple little curl route, and that's Hibbert again, number 18, who picks up another first down. And this is something I would have maybe liked to see Ottawa do a little earlier. The Fratmen defense likes to just go. Don't let them get set. Don't let them get as many calls in. Get to the line of scrimmage and maybe run a few more no huddle type situations. And in this case, they just try to run that bubble screen to Trunza and to no avail. I was just sniffed out right away. It looked like that was number 9, Tarek Bonus, who came up right away, and he forced that back to the inside, and there was no way that Enzo was going to get any kind of extra yards out of that one. 2nd down and 10. Going up the B seam again, and he overshot his receiver. He actually had him there. And Trunzo was just running. He probably, if that ball was thrown on him just a little bit more, maybe even a little sooner. There's a stark difference on that one. Now, to me, that's more of the classic tight end route, the Rob Gronkowski. Like, you throw him that ball on a straight line after around 12 yards and you let him catch and run. It's harder to do that slot seam with a smaller receiver. The smaller receiver likes to work back and curl. You don't get vertical, and it makes it a little harder to connect with your receiver when you're doing that. Oh, and the pressure came off the backside, and that altered the throw, and that looked like it was number 45 for the Fratmen, and that is Jamal Malden, outside linebacker, who gets some pressure, and he forward the errant throw, and that's going to be a turnover on downs yet again. And with 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in this ball game, with a 42-14 lead, the Fratmen are going to take the field again. And it's Brandon Ream again taking that field. So I'm not sure if the Fratmen dressed 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. I'm going to count right now. Looks like they dressed 8, maybe 9 offensive linemen. So you probably got 4 new ones in. I definitely see 3 different bodies in. Inside fake, and they're going to throw a behind the line of scrimmage pass, which means it's a lateral, a pitch to D'Angelo Knox, and all that's going to do is take 3 yards off of his stat total for today. Dangerous throw. Maybe they're just throwing that little wrinkle in to say, well, we're going to throw that behind the line of scrimmage in backwards just in case we have a pitch pass. I don't know why you'd show it right now. at this score. You don't want to give away anything. That's number 54 who's down, and you'll see on the replay it's clearly a lateral, unquestionably a lateral. Usually when it's that far back, you got something in the makings just brewing up, but there was nothing to have there, as that's number 54 who's getting helped off the field, and that is all-star linebacker Nicholas Georges. And as you can tell from that graphic, he is nursing that left shoulder, that left elbow, that left arm. Well, couldn't have asked for a nicer night. It's absolutely beautiful here. It's a great fall day. We've had 4 or 5 days in a row. We've had a lot of football in this area, a whole slate of high school football played this week. The Lancers played earlier today. The Fratmen right now are completing their win of Ontario Football Conference semifinal action. And we got an over-the-top shot once again, and that is caught this time by Marcus Williams Cooper. And that's another deep throw. That was about a 35-yard passing catch, and that ball's going to be at around the 36-yard line, it looks like. As you see on our replay, Brandon just took 2 steps back and said, I'm throwing it to my guy, and let him adjust. That's what he did. I'm not sure if that was exactly where he wanted it thrown, but Marcus Cooper just was able to reroute and adjust to that. Here we go, inside run, D'Angelo Knox. Oh, what a huge hole that was. I'm not going to say I could run through it because I can't run anymore. But I'm pretty sure almost anybody else could have run through that hole. That was enormous. Like, that was just huge. He didn't get touched until about 7 or 8 yards down the field. That's a fantastic surge. And these are, for the most part, all backups right now. I think you have one starter in on that group right now. Inside run, and this is Damchuk. Does a great job of just keeps pressing, climbing. We have a flag. That flag was thrown by number 9, and that is Joe Cooper. We're going to get a chance to see. I mean, I didn't see much of a hold, if that was the hold. I'm more inclined to say it might have been a face mask, like the point at which the flag came out, but we'll see. Looks like the Fratmen are backing up, so it's got to be against AKO.
Holding on the offense prior to the first down, 10 yards, 1st and 20.
Yeah, so it was a hold after the first down, and he just called it. No, it couldn't have been. I thought I heard him say after the first down, so I'm just looking to see. Did he call Marcus Cooper on the hold? Like I don't know if it was a hold or a block in the back, but it didn't look like a hold to me. But I'm not on the field, and I'll give our local officials the credit, the benefit of the doubt. They oftentimes are more right than I am when it comes to calls on the field. So that's an offside. That's got to be an offside, and you don't want to see that. And it wasn't an offside. Maybe I'm seeing it differently here. This one, I do not want to see Brandon Riem hit. That is what I don't want to see, and I don't care if that did not look like it was violent. You don't want to spin hard on this turf and have your shoulder land on the ground. Well, that guy was in the backfield right away. And about 3 minutes ago, he couldn't lift his left shoulder up. Number 54, Nick Georges, was the one nursing his left shoulder. Yeah, that was brilliantly timed. That was the first time he's been sacked, so he's going to bring up a 2nd and long. I know what play call I would have. I would run an inside trap to Damchuk right now and just let him run forward and punt. Oh, time count. What do we got? It's got to be. It's the only thing we haven't seen today yet. There it is. We got a time count violation, so it's under 3 minutes, which is a loss of down. But we can't, it's 3rd down. That's it. Here's what we got.
On the offense, be loss of down, 3rd down.
Earlier I did say once you get under 3 minutes, it's the time for the most penal. I still don't understand why under 3 minutes the rules change from it being a 5-yard penalty to a loss of down, and if it's already third down, it becomes a 10-yard penalty. And then there's a weird skew now, I think, where it can be a loss of down and the 10 yards somehow, and it's just this weird, why can't it just be a 5-yard penalty like it normally is? All right, so we got another whistle, but maybe it's because we weren't ready for play. Oh, we got a timeout. Yeah, Ottawa calls a timeout. They weren't ready for the Fratmen to go for it on third down and what do we got, 25? I'm maybe Coach LaChance didn't realize that they actually rolled the down and it's third down. And there's a look at Jacoby Jones, and I don't see shoulder pads on him, so he's obviously out. I did think he took a shot or an injury, but maybe they're just being just a little cautious. Let's just save your body for the few extra hits in the conference final. All right, quick throw over the top. He's looking for his old teammate, and that was intercepted. There's a spike of a ball. That's not going to get called at this point in the game. He was excited that he got intercepted. He intercepted the ball. But see, these DBs here, and I even talked to my own DBs coaches at my high school where I coach at. Drop the ball. Drop the ball. You'll get the ball at the 35, 40-yard line, wherever the line of scrimmage was. Drop the ball. Know where you're at on the field. But my DB coach insists that you can't drop an interception. That's like bad karma, even though you flip the field position by 20 extra yards. I don't understand that, but these DBs and these receivers, they're very, very diva-like, and they like the limelight. So they have to catch the ball and get these interception stats. Ought to drop the ball. So we had a quick hitch to the big receiver. More of a hook, I would say. And then we get a push out of bounds and face mask. Looked like it was on the offense. It looked like he grabbed his face mask. It's hard when you got like long arms like that. We got it after the yardage was gained, I'm assuming. So we're going to get the ball moved back 15 yards from the 39, so it's going to be 24. It's going to be 1st and 10 from the 24. That's what I'm predicting. Let's see if my officiating skills from the booth are good.
Unnecessary roughness, face mask on the offense.
All right, I'm off by 4 yards. It's at the 20. So I didn't have the exact spot as to where the foul occurred, because that's where they'll measure it back 15 yards, but they'll give him the first down. All right, here we go. He looks back, steps into the pocket, and he's thrown over the top to an open receiver, and that's Trunzo again. But we'll see what's going on now. All right. I think we got a clean play there. No flag. As we see, our next broadcast is going to be Sunday, October 29th. That's next Sunday, 2017, live here on we-tv.ca at Alumni Field at the University of Windsor with a 1 p.m. kickoff, where the home Fratmen football squad are going to play host to the Hamilton Hurricanes. Deep throw over the top, and that is in the direction of the all-star Elijah Blythe, who ended up getting that ball batted out of his hands. And Kazda does a good job, the receiver, of breaking that play up. He had to play defensive back there as the visitors tried to bomb one over the top. So with a third down and long situation from way deep in your own zone, they're just going to punt it away. Get this clock started. I wish you could just wind it in right now. The game is not in doubt, but I know the rules, and you got to have it. And the Sooners are light one person. I only see 4 men at the line of scrimmage right now. So they're bound to get somebody else on. So they're just playing it down. They're going to take a timeout. And there's the indication. So they're all out now. And there comes the extra man. They were missing somebody lined up at the left tackle spot. And big number 57 just doesn't look enthused to go out and cover a kick. That's a lineman number. He does not want, now see, most of the time people have to report to that position. The fact that he doesn't have to report, he's angry about that. He doesn't want to cover it. I don't blame him. I'm a lineman. I didn't ever like covering kicks. They hurt me more than they did anything else. Here's Trinier trying to go a long way across this left side, then does another stutter step, makes a guy miss, is still up on his feet, and then gets wrapped up and tackled at around the 45-yard line. That killed about 15 seconds off the clock. We got 1:43 left on my ticker here, and this is going to probably be the last offensive series for the Fratmen. Hopefully they can just get one first down, take a couple knees, and call it a day. And we can send this off to our broadcast next week. But let me once again remind everybody that the next broadcast is next Sunday, 1 p.m., live here at Alumni Field at the University of Windsor. It's the Hamilton Hurricanes traveling down to Windsor for the Ontario Football Conference Final. Under center, 32 ISO, just a straight inside running play, and that's number 26, Dominic Damus, who gets the first down carry, and it's about 3-yard run. So we're now looking at a 2nd down and 7. Let's get this clock wind in. That play took 6 seconds. And now you just don't want to see anything crazy here. You don't want to see any injuries. You just want to make sure that you can run this clock out. Let's just hope that we don't get any other slowdowns to this. All out blitz. We get another run here. Bottled up after a 1-yard gain. You see a little bit of emotion from the Sooners. I'm okay with that. You know what? Some of these guys, they've been on the bench and they might not have played as much, and they get in and try to make a play. They might be young. They might be their first year. They make a tackle. They get a little excited. They get the name on the stat sheet. As long as it's not disrespectful to your opponent, that's fine. He was happy he made a tackle. I'm okay with that. He didn't get up John at the offensive player, which is just fine by me. All right, I'm going to predict the exact same play. It might be crazy. Oh, they went the other way. They went the other way. And you can just tell the vision isn't the same when you got a new running back and he just lowers his head and barrels his way forward. And that's going to do it for us. And we're going to have 40-some-odd seconds left in this game. And I'm not sure if the Sooners are just going to take a knee. They might just wind up and try to get their big man, number 7, to throw. They might try to get Trunzel a throw. Quick summary. Yeah, from start to finish, you had the Fratmen lead. They got out 14-0 early. Probably should have been 21-0 as they had their first drive stall at the 2.5-yard line with 3 cracks to go from there. Either way, the Fratmen did command this game from start to finish, as you see Blythe pointing into your camera there. And he had a good game because he had that pick 6 for himself and got the defense rolling. They had some special teams gaffes because they gave up a scoop and score on a missed punt return. And they also had a kick block, so that's something they want to take a look at and they want to cover. As the ball gets dumped off to the running back, McDonald, that's number 26, Vincent McDonald, and he picks up about, looks like 9 yards. Maybe it's a first down. They're going to move it and give him the first down, and there's the indication from John McDonald. That's going to bring up a first down with 30-some-odd seconds left to go in this game. Again, next week, Sunday, 1 p.m., right here, live from Alumni Field. Quick little hitch to their big receiver. Oh, boy, he is tall and lanky and has these long legs, and he's all the type. He is all the type. He goes out there, he makes a play, he picks up big chunk yardage. I can tell how talented he is. He really can. There's no question he's talented. I've already given you my opinion as to what I believe should have been the case. I was a little surprised when I saw the stats, but here you see Tyler Scott just getting that ball out quickly to his receiver. I don't think they did enough of this, just let their big man get as many simple plays. There they are up in the seam trying to get something vertical, and then that ball was jarred loose. and that's Hibbert again, number 18, who had the ball dislodged from him. Looked like a pretty solid, clean hit there. Nothing to the head. It was body-to-body contact, and you'll see here on the replay, as the ball comes in, he gets right to the hip, and Trinier makes a good job. That is a good football play. That is a very good football play. And I love the fact that even though it's late, they're making smart plays, because if Trinier leads with his head, he might hurt himself. That's good. This is likely going to be one of the second last plays of the game as they go over the top here. And that ball was underthrown. It looked like Slickborn, who is the defensive player of the year, got just in the throwing lane of the quarterback. So we're gonna reset this one last time. My mistake, I thought it was third down. It was indeed second down. So we got third down here, 12 seconds left in the game. And you got just an empty backfield, 5 receivers out wide. They're going to throw a quick little hitch to their big receiver, who's going to throw left-handed. And this is over the top, and it looks like it's intercepted. And that interception is by Spencer Trinier. Now, that being said, it's moot. It's an illegal forward pass because you can't. That was not a backwards pass. That was a hitch. So the flag had to come out. It's a penalty. The penalty is going to be declined because there was a resulting interception. The interception will stand, and they'll take a knee and call it a game.
An illegal forward pass, 2 forward passes on 1 play. It's going to be AKO's ball, first down.
Oh, you don't want to do that. You want to decline that penalty. You want this play to stand. Oh, Spencer's going to be upset here. I'm just going to be an advocate for this. It's illegal forward pass, which means it's going to be a dead ball at the point where the pass was from, which means it's going to be all the way up at the, let's call it the 47-yard line. That's where they're going to put the ball. The play, Fratmen get the ball because it was third down, so it's a dead ball there, but that means the interception is negated. Oh, look at there's Spencer right there. I'd have given him that. I'd have declined it, let the snap go at the 20-yard line, take the interception, but that's off the table. They're going to wait 2 seconds. There's the final zeros on the game, and there's the indication from Mr. McDonald that this game is officially over. As you see on our screen, the final, the Windsor AKO Fratmen 42, the Ottawa Sooners 14, in semifinal action here on we-tv.ca. Presented to you the Ontario Football Conference final next week, as the Windsor Fratmen, by virtue of this win, are going to play host to the Hamilton Hurricanes next Sunday at 1 p.m. live here from Alumni Field. Thank you for thank you for joining us here for this broadcast of Ontario Football Conference, and we'd like to thank all our sponsors once again for providing us the support for bringing you Ontario Football Conference play. Thank you. Signing off here, I'm Badia Kwas here for we-tv.ca, and thanks to our tremendous crew for putting together a great broadcast.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
It's new, it's fresh, it's innovative. It's WeTV, Windsor Essex Television, and you can watch it anywhere. www.we-tv.ca is the place to be. If it's sports, entertainment, or community events, WeTV has what you're looking for. The people, places, and faces of our community are front and center on WeTV. Check out www.we-tv.ca for what's being webcast live. WeTV, we got you covered.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory, it's not book work anymore.
I choose to take control of my future, and my path is St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Baron Championship rings. This is who we are.
We know you're going to the same gym, and we know you're expecting different results.
This is your invitation to visit Club Attitude, Windsor's best kept training secret. Individual custom designed fitness specifically tailored for you. Clean, modern, well-equipped studio. Body, mind, and soul. Come on, make that change. It won't be scary.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
Alumni Field, once again, the Windsor AKO Fratmen off to the OFC Championship after beating the Ottawa Sooners. Joining me, as always, Mike Morency. And, Coach, it was a really good second half. Everything stood still a little bit, but a lot of people were feeling really a bit lax. Brendan Reham getting the job done, but the defense really stepping up. What did you see from all that?
Well, outside of special teams, we had two huge special teams blunders that, kept them in the ball game for a bit. We got a punt blocked. We dropped a punt return. So other than those two things, I thought we were pretty dominant. You could tell the inactivity being off 2 weeks. It shows. We don't do too much live stuff in practice. We get here today. We just let the steps slow all day long. And we did some real good things, but I think there's a lot of things where, like I said, we're just a step away from really blowing this thing wide open. So we're going to have some momentum going to the final now because we're going to play again, back to back finally. It's been a rough couple last 6 weeks just playing two times. It's been kind of crazy.
And now off to the big show against the Hamilton Hurricanes. You can't wait. Once again, going up for it for all the marbles in the OFC Championship. So what is it going to go down to for next week?
We're going to be pretty excited about it. We owe them a big one for last. They put a thumping on us up there. So that has sat with us for 12 long months, and we are ready to straighten that situation out next week. That's for sure.
Ready, willing, and they smell the great championship among them. Thank you again, Coach Mike Morency.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thanks.
Take care. All right, folks, and that's the story right here from Alumni Field. Now tune in next Sunday at 1 p.m. where it's all going to happen. The OFC Championship. Emblematic of great season play. It's going to be the Windsor Fratmen playing against the Hamilton Hurricanes, so it is going to be a doozy. If you know the history about these two clubs, then you realize they put on one magnificent show for the championship within the last few years, so it is redemption for the Windsor Fratmen, but for the Hurricanes, it's the matter of repeating as champions, so we will see how that tale unfolds. But once again, the AKO Fratmen off to the OFC Championship next Sunday, 1 p.m. right here on we-tv.ca. But for all of us here, that will do it. On behalf of the whole crew, Badi Kawaz doing a good job on play-by-play. This be Aaron Sanders saying so long from the Rose City.